Chapter 1, I feel so uncomfortable. Under the dark night. Her body was bound in a warm chest, with hot breath spraying on her neck. The man's thin lips lightly swept across her nose, as if an electric current had passed, instantly spreading through her limbs. Li Tang Tang clung tightly to the tall figure in front of her, her body was already too weak to stand. She let out a low whimper, "Sir, help me." In the darkness, the man's deep, dark eyes flashed with a coldness, but he still squeezed her waist, which was easy to hold. "Did Grandma send you?" Li Tang Tang no longer knew what the man was saying. Her delicate body kept on slipping into the man's embrace to feel his body temperature, as if this was the only way to make her feel better. A faint fragrance lingered on her nose, uncontrollably fermenting inside her body. Lu Jiyu frowned fiercely. The medicinal effect in her body seemed to be catalyzed even more under the influence of this fragrance. This scent. His handsome and refined face was hidden in the darkness, his eyes dark and menacing. He let out a low laugh, but it was cold. In the darkness, his hand gently stroked the girl's slightly flushed cheek. "What do you want?" The girl's small hand tightly grasped the hem of his shirt, and her soft voice carried a hint of pleading. "Sir, please hurt me." A moment later. The messy clothes were scattered all over the floor. The girl's whimpers were swallowed up. At that moment. In the villa, after the girl heard what the person on the other end of the phone said, she angrily smashed the glass. Her face, with its delicate makeup, was now hideous and vicious. "What did you say? The person ran away? You men are all useless, you can't even keep a woman," she said angrily, breathing heavily. "Finally Tang Tang back for me right now." An hour ago. Li Tang Tang ran out of the box in a panic. Because she knew that she had been drugged. The man who drugged her was a pot-bellied man. His eyes were disgusting, and Li Tang Tang felt like she was his food. She ran dizzily down the corridor, her heart filled with grief. How could this be? Why did they have to treat her like this? It was clear that she no longer wanted anything. Why did they still not let her go? Several men were chasing after her, and Li Tang Tang panicked and ran in the wrong direction. If she was caught and taken back to be abused by that fat, obese man, Li Tang Tang didn't even want to think about it. No. She couldn't just give up. Li Tang Tang quickly ran up to the elevator, and just in the nick of time, she slammed the elevator door shut, blocking those chasing her outside. But she knew that those who caught her would not let her go. She had to find a place to hide. But where? Where can she lose these people? The elevator door opened again. Li Tang Tang ran out, but after a few steps, she heard the sound coming from the stairs. "Damn it, I can't let this bitch get away, or how can I explain to Miss Yu? Miss Yu? Did Li Yu tell them to chase her?" Li Tang Tang pursed her lips tightly and fled quickly. But the sound of footsteps still attracted the people chasing her. "She's here, don't let her get away." A few men chased Li Tang Tang panting, "You bitch, what are you running for? Hurry up and stop, you won't get away." Li Tang Tang bit her lip, her consciousnness becoming more and more chaotic, but she couldn't stop, she mustn't stop. She clenched her hands together to try and clear her mind. Meanwhile, top floor VLP suite. A man with a cold expression walked out of the elevator. He was tall, wearing a black shirt, and had a sharp and clean-cut face. It seemed that something unhappy had happened, and the emotions in the man's eyes were surging violently. The assistant behind him caught up and said with difficulty, "Sir, that woman was just put in by the old lady, so?" Lu Chiyu's eyes flashed with a trace of helplessness. "Pay attention next time, don't let old ladies get the better of you." He let out a sigh of relief. "Yes, sir." After a moment's hesitation, he added, "Sir, should I call a doctor for you? The old lady is now driven mad by the forced marriage. She would even do something as extreme as drugging you." But this is not his concern. Lu Jiyu, no need. With this little bit of medicine, he can restrain himself. He opened the door and the man walked in. Very quickly. Voices could be heard from the bathroom. Cold water poured down from above, washing away half of the internal heat. The mobile phone placed to the side vibrated a few times inopportunely. The man glanced at it and saw a message from the other party. "Grandma, Lu Chiyu, you bastard, why did you drive away the young girl I arranged for you? Are you trying to make me die of anger?" Lu Chiyu glanced at it and put the phone down. Not long after. The man came out of the bathroom, with his bath towel loosely tied around his waist, exposing a large expanse of pale white skin on his chest. Remaining water droplets slowly slid down his neck and onto his defined abs, before finally disappearing into the tantalizingly ambiguous six-pack. Even after half an hour of cold shower, the internal heat has not been completely extinguished, but it can be contained. Lu Qiyu casually wiped the water droplets on his head. At this time, the door knocked, and it was he who delivered some documents. He left immediately after delivering the documents. Lu Qiyu held the documents in his hand and turned off the light casually. He felt a little uncomfortable and wanted to rest for a while. After turning off the lights and preparing to close the door, a petite figure suddenly squeezed in through the crack. The next second, the girl's sweet voice anxiously said, "Sorry, someone is chasing me, can I hide for a while?" Li Tangtang hurriedly closed the door. Outside, there were hurried footsteps. She held her breath, and several angry voices came from outside the door. "Damn it, where did this bitch go? Hurry up and find her. If you find her, I'll kill her." Presumably they couldn't find Li Tangtang, and the sound of their footsteps gradually faded away. Li Tangtang relaxed for a moment, but the heat in her body kept pounding against her. At this moment, she realized that the person standing in front of her was a man. "Who are you?" the man asked coldly. Li Tangtang couldn't see his face clearly, but she knew that he seemed angry. She hurriedly said, "I'm sorry, sir, I'll leave now. Those people shouldn't be coming back for a while." Li Tangtang just wanted to open the door and leave, but she felt her body soften and she almost fell to the ground. Her head was spinning, and her body felt so uncomfortable and hot, as if she urgently needed something. That feeling was so strange. It was so strange that a moan escaped from Li Tangtang's lips. However, Li Tangtang did not fall to the ground. As her body was softening, the man in front of her suddenly clasped her waist and pressed her against his chest. The man's special smell kept assaulting Li Tangtang. Her eyes became confused. It felt so good to be pressed against this man, she thought in her heart, and she acted accordingly. Her delicate, slightly flushed cheeks were pressed against Lu Qi's unclothed chest, causing the man's body to tremble fiercely. The dry heat that had just been suppressed in her body naturally arose again. Lu Qi's eyes turned red, and he flung Li Tangtang away. Li Tangtang's body hit the door behind her, and she let out a painful cry. However, the sound was like that of a kitten, tickling Lu Qiyu's heart and causing his heart to go numb. Strange. How could this be? Just as Lu Qiyu was about to push the girl out, she wrapped her soft arms around his neck again, her lips emitting a few sounds of grievance. "It's so hot, it's so hard." In the darkness, Li Tangtang was already suffering to the extreme. Her body seemed to be uncontrollably wanting to cling to the man. She wanted more, but she couldn't even say what she wanted. Her voice was full of tears. "Sir, I'm so uncomfortable, can you help me?" New book. I hope you continue to support it. La la la. This is the brain storage area. Chapter 2, "Sir, please hurt me." "And help you?" The man spoke coldly. Lu Qiyu never thought that after living for 29 years, there would be a woman who would dare to hug him and ask him for help, and still ask for physical help. Very good. This woman has successfully attracted his attention. But Lu Qiyu was unwilling to do as the girl wished, and teasingly held the girl without making any move. Li Tangtang twisted her body in pain, clinging to Lu Qiyu and begging him, "Sir, help me, help me." She was suffering so much that she felt like dying. Why was it so hard? Oh. She clung to the man in front of her. Although she couldn't see his face clearly, Li Tangtang felt that he was better than that fat pig. She would rather lose her virginity to this man than be abused by that fat pig. "Do you know who I am?" The man's deep, cold voice fell, but Li Tangtang couldn't hear it. She didn't know who he was. But now, she really needed him. "Mister." The girl's voice struck Lu Jiyu's heart again. Her cheek pressed against him again. Her small hands kept setting his waist on fire. Until, Lu Jiyu heard those words. "Mister, please hurt me." In a moment, the bath towel around his waist was ripped off by the girl, and the two blazing hot bodies entwined. At that moment, the arousal in his body could no longer be restrained. She smelled good. The girl smelled good. The scent stirred his nerves. It slowly broke his self-control. He asked the girl if her grandmother had sent her, but she didn't answer. But it didn't matter. Since this woman had the nerve to climb into his bed, he would grant her wish. The clothes on his body were torn to shreds. Li Tangtang was in a daze and unable to react. She could only let the man take her step by step. When the man had her completely, Li Tangtang shed a single tear. Her most precious thing was gone. The light on the bedside table swayed. It was late at night. Li Tangtang cried. Her voice became hoarse. She said no. But the man was a beast. He didn't want to stop at all. Until later, Li Tangtang fainted. Lu Jiyu was still not satisfied. But he was not that beastly. There's still plenty of time. He didn't expect the girl to taste so good, and he wasn't unwilling to consider taking her. What Lu Jiyu didn't expect was that when he woke up the next day, the girl had run away. Run away? She became his woman, and she dared to run away? 1.5 months later. Jing City First People's Hospital. Dark night. Big bed. The sound of clothes being torn apart. The man swallowed her cries. He's so fierce. He's so fierce that he doesn't care if she cries so loudly. No. No. Miss, wake up, your name is being called. Li Tangtang suddenly woke up from her dream. It had been more than a month, but she still dreamed of that night from time to time. The man's scorching body heat and low whispers, as well as his predatory eyes, were all vividly clear in her mind. She looked up with lingering fear in her eyes at the nurse's concerned face. The nurse said, Miss, it's your turn. You can go in and see the doctor now. Li Tangtang nodded and said thank you. In the consultation room. The doctor glanced at Li Tangtang and asked in a routine manner, what's the problem? Li Tangtang squeezed the corner of her shirt and whispered her reply, Doctor. I've been feeling unwell recently, with symptoms of nausea, vomiting and lethargy. Especially in the past 2 days, the symptoms have become more severe. Li Tangtang was worried that something was wrong with her body, so she came to the hospital for a checkup. She didn't want to die young. The doctor asked Li Tangtang some simple questions before asking others. Have you had sex recently? Huh? Li Tangtang reacted, stammering, I had sex more than a month ago. The doctor nodded, when was your last period? Upon hearing this, Li Tangtang froze again. She was a little panicked. Because, her period hadn't come this month. She obediently answered, the first day of last month. The doctor looked up at her and wrote out some prescriptions for Li Tangtang to get checked up. Li Tangtang obediently did as she was told. After all the reports came back, she showed them to the doctor. The doctor pushed up his glasses and said, just as I thought, you're pregnant, and the fetus is still small, less than 5 weeks old. Li Tangtang's eyes widened at this. What? Pregnant? This news was like a bolt from the blue, and Li Tangtang's face instantly paled. It happened just once, and she took the emergency contraceptive pill when she got back, so how could she still be pregnant? Facing such a big thing for the first time, Li Tangtang was at a loss for a moment. Her body trembled for a moment, and she didn't know what to do. More than a month ago. Her father and stepmother wanted to marry her off to an old man, and even arranged for them to meet for dinner that night. Li Tangtang didn't want to, but they forced her to go and have dinner with that man. But she didn't expect that fat pig to drug her in order to get her. She realized something was wrong and fought back desperately to escape. But the old man's bodyguard was chasing her. Li Tangtang panicked and broke into a room. She didn't know how she found the courage to burst in the moment the stranger slammed the door. Her thoughts at the time were that the man seemed to be quite good-looking, at least better than the old man, and even if she slept with this stranger, it was better than being abused by the old man. At that time, under the influence of the aphrodisiac, Li Tangtang had an absurd night with the strange man. The next day, she woke up and sneaked away, and before she left, she took a quick look at the man. He was very handsome. Very tall. 10,000 times better than that fat pig. But no matter how handsome he was still a stranger. It was just a one-night stand, and she couldn't possibly hold someone responsible for that. Not to mention that she had gone to someone else's room on her own. She didn't even know the man, and now she was pregnant. She bit her lip and silently shed tears. Why had things turned out like this? Why was her life so miserable? Li Tangtang's heart ached. After a long while, Li Tangtang finally gathered her courage. Doctor, can I not have this baby? She didn't even know who the man was, and she couldn't bear to give birth to a child whose father was unknown, and let it suffer the strange looks of the world for nothing, like her, who had been unloved and suffered and wronged in every way. Besides, her situation now was such that she could not even survive on her own, let alone raise a child. She still had her dreams, and there was still so much she wanted to do. This child had come at the wrong time. No one will bless it. The doctor paused for a moment. If you don't want it, have the operation sooner rather than later, as it becomes more dangerous the older the month. Li Tongtong's voice trembled a little. Okay. Can I do it today? She wanted to get it over with quickly. You can't do it today, you still need to have tests to make sure that your body is suitable for the operation in every way. Li Tangtang bit her lip. Okay. Finally, the doctor told Li Tangtang to check several items before she went back with a worried face. Chapter 3, Obey, You Cannot Have an Abortion. High-class club. Inside a private room, a group of people are having fun. Most of them have a beautiful woman on their laps, and there is non-stop giggling in the room. Except for the man in the corner who is drinking alone. A few girls are fascinated by the man's good looks and try to get close to him, hoping to get close to him, but they are forced back by the man's cold stare. Luoxicha patted the woman sitting on his lap on the butt to get her up, then went over to the man and clinked glasses with him. Luga, what's wrong with you tonight, so glum? Didn't you say you wanted to have a good time with your brothers? Tonight, as soon as Lu Qiyu arrived, he didn't say a word. He just kept drinking. His face was so sour, it looked like he was angry with everyone. But he doesn't lack for hundreds of billions. Lu Jiyu glanced at Luo Shichu and didn't say anything. Luo Shichu waited for a while but didn't hear a response from Lu Jiyu. He felt a bit embarrassed and touched his nose. He wanted to go and make out with the pretty girl when Lu Jiyu stopped him. Luo Shichu, if a woman sleeps with you but runs away the next day, what does she mean? Ha? Luo Shichu thought he was hearing things. Lu Gu, who had never talked about women before, actually asked him such a question. It's a bit interesting? No. Luoxichu sat down again, looking at Lu Qiyu with a sly and nosy expression. Lu Gu, what do you mean, you slept with a woman, and then the next day that woman ran away? Lu Qiyu took a sip of wine and didn't say it was me. I don't believe it. Luoxichu seemed to have caught a gossip windfall. Lu Gu, when did this happen, and how come I didn't know about it? This is shocking gossip. Lu Jiyu has never looked at a woman since he was a child, and now he's actually slept with one? Which woman is so capable? He also thought that Brother Lu would end up alone for the rest of his life. I'm asking you a question, I didn't ask you to ask me. Luoxich's gossip fire was suppressed fiercely. He cleared his throat and analyzed it in a serious manner. If she slept with him and ran away, it could be because she was shy, or she didn't know how to face it, or it could be. Lasichu, feeling guilty, stole a glance at Lu Jiyu, not sure if he should say this. Lu Jiyu gave him a cold stare and said, Lu Gu, then you can't hit me. Otherwise, Lasichu didn't dare to say it. Lu Jiyu, if you dare to say another word, I dare to beat you to death. Lasichu. You are going to be killed anyway. The experience you gave the young girl was not very good. Luo Shichu, in short, it's not very good. Lu Jiyu sneers, I'm not good? Luo Shichu laughs twice as he steps back, no, Brother Lu, I didn't mean that. You asked me to analyze it. Judging from Brother Lu's build, it doesn't seem like he's not good at it. It's probably just that Brother Lu didn't know how to handle it and hurt the woman. After all, at 29 years old, Brother Lu is a virgin. He hasn't even touched a woman. Where would he get any experience? Lu Gu, which woman had the nerve to climb into your bed and even dare to run away? Luo Chi Chu really wanted to meet this person. After all, this was considered Lu Ji's first woman. Lu Qiyu snorted. He also wanted to know. This bold woman barged into his room, begged him to help her, and the next day, she quietly ran away. He woke up that day and turned around to try to relive it, but when he touched the quilt next to him, he realized it was already cold. The little woman ran for an unknown period of time. Lu Jiyu's face was dark. He immediately asked He to find out the whereabouts of that woman. It was just that the surveillance camera broke down that night and she was not found. He was depressed to death. I don't know. Luoxichu? You don't know? So, was it a one-night stand? Lu Jiyu, Luoxichu, you talk too much. Oh ho. Did he really guess it right? So Lu had a one-night stand with a woman and the next day she ran away, and Lu is still here, angry with himself? This is unbelievable. What a scandal. Lu actually had a one-night stand. Lu Oshichu was about to ask something else, but Lu Jiyu got up and went out of the room in a bad mood. Outside the door, Lu Jiyu pulled his tie irritably. Close your eyes and you can see the image of a girl, supple and soft, begging for mercy under him. The girl that night was really very sweet. And he could clearly feel that it was the girl's first time that night. And the sound of begging for mercy, it was all so beautiful. The dormant part of his body had the reaction it should have. Lu Jiyu's eyebrows and eyes sank. Ever since that night, he has become increasingly out of control. Damn little woman. Wait until he finds her. See how he punishes her. She must be made to cry in bed for 3 days and nights. 3 days later, Li Tangtang came to the hospital again. After the doctor had checked the report and found it to be in order, he was ready to perform the abortion. At that moment, a low-key Maybach was driving down the road. An elderly man in good spirits was sitting in the back seat. Madame Lu, looking radiant, asked with joy, using her walking stick, "Is it true that the girl is pregnant?" The butler in the front seat replied, "Yes, madam, it's confirmed." Old Madame Lu was overjoyed. This Lu Jiyu. No wonder he refused to accept the woman she sent that night. It turns out that he had been prepared and had been having sex with a young girl all night. If it hadn't been for her planted people seeing it, she wouldn't have known about it. It's just that her eldest grandson is too stupid. He let the young girl run away the next day. It's rare to have a girl that Lu Jiyu touches, so naturally old Madame Lu wanted to investigate. If she didn't investigate, she wouldn't know. She was shocked when she found out. The young girl was pregnant. She checked the time and it was the night of the incident. The young girl was pregnant, and it must be the result of that brat Lu Chiyu's actions. Old Madame Lu was overjoyed. She had to hurry and bring the person back. She couldn't let her granddaughter and great-great-granddaughter wander around. Just as she was happily thinking, the butler's words were like a bucket of cold water. But news came from over there that the girl was currently waiting for an abortion. Madame Lu shuddered. What? Drive faster, to the hospital immediately. We can't let her great-great-grandchild disappear. At the hospital. Li Tangtang changed into a hospital gown and waited outside the operating room. She touched her stomach. For the past few days, she had had an indescribable feeling that here, a life was being nurtured. Unfortunately, she was unable to accept its arrival. She could only choose to give it up. She pursed her lips, and her eyes welled up with tears. I'm sorry, baby. Mommy can't let you come into this world. Don't blame mommy, okay? She knew that night was just a mistake. She couldn't let that mistake continue. If there's a chance, she hopes the baby will find her again as mommy. Li Tangtang, it's your turn, are you ready? Li Tangtang's lips trembled for a moment, and she whispered, okay. After building up the courage, she was trembling as she prepared to go into the operating room, but at that moment, several black-clad men suddenly appeared in front of her and stopped her. Li Tangtang did not understand the reason, and she took 2 steps back in fear. The doctors and nurses had never seen such a scene before, and they looked at the group of black-clad people strangely, not knowing what was going on, and they looked at each other in confusion. Before long, an old man with gray hair and a walking stick hurried over. Madame Lu came panting up to Li Tangtang, grabbed her hand, and said, "My goodness, you can't have an abortion." Chapter 4. It was the man from that night. Lu Group. The towering building soars up to 100 floors, demonstrating its status in the city. At the moment, in the conference room on the 68th floor, a group of senior executives are sitting upright, their heads bowed, afraid to look at the man sitting in the main seat. And the man in the main seat is Lu Qiyu, the current ruler of the Lu Group. Everyone says that Lu Qiyu has an unpredictable personality and ruthless tactics. They can testify that the rumors are true. The man pinched the planning proposal in his long fingers, his expression unreadable. He lazily lifted his eyelids, his dark eyes like ink sweeping over the crowd, and casually threw the proposal on the table. His voice carried an air of authority. "I'll give you 1 month. Is this the best you can do?" The crowd hung their heads even lower, each one shrinking like a quail, afraid that if they stick their heads up, the man will criticize them mercilessly. It's strange. Why do I feel that the CEO has been in a bad mood lately? He's always frowning. He's scary enough as it is. His cold face scares the living daylights out of them every day. If this continues, they'll all end up in a mental hospital. Sure enough. Accompanying the king is like accompanying a tiger. But their CEO is scarier than a tiger. The atmosphere froze for a moment. Until the door to the meeting room opened. The CEO's special assistant, hurried in with his phone in his hand. He whispered in Lu Jiyu's ear, "Sir, the old lady is looking for you. Tell her I'm in a meeting." He hesitated and continued, "The old lady said you must answer the phone right away, she has something urgent to tell you." Lu Jiyu picked up the phone next to him and saw that his nanny had called him 55 times. Only his nanny dares to bombard him like this. The meeting is suspended. You have 3 more days. I want to see a satisfactory plan in 3 days. After the man got up and left, the people in the meeting room suddenly relaxed. Everyone patted their chests. They were not afraid of anything, except for Lu Jiyu getting angry. If he got angry, they would not have a good time. Assistant He, thank you so much, you are our savior. Stop it, Assistant He, I was just scared to death by President Lu. The cold air he gives off is equivalent to 10 air conditioners. Cut the crap and hurry back to work on the plan, otherwise in 3 days, it will be the end of US. Assistant He, is the president in a bad mood these days? He keeps a poker face all day long, it's scary to look at. He really is in a bad mood. But he can't say why. Otherwise, he can forget about his job. President Lu, you'd better go and change the plan. If you can't come up with a plan that satisfies him, his mood will probably get even worse. The man called President Lu hurriedly left with the plan. In the president's office, Lu Qiyu called back. As soon as the call was connected, he said in a low voice, "Grandma, if you want me to go on a blind date, then no, I won't go." Every time Grandma calls him, it's to set him up on a blind date. Saying that he is getting old and will have trouble finding a wife in the future. Is he the one who is lacking a wife? A joyful voice came from the other end, No, I'm not asking you to go on a blind date. Then what do you want? You come back right now and get married. Lu Qiyu was slightly startled, rubbed his eyebrows, and said, "Grandma, stop it." Now Grandma's way of pushing for a marriage is getting more and more outrageous. Asking him to get married? Who is he going to get married to? I'm not joking, Lu Qiyu, I found you a young wife, so come back right now. I have things to do here, so I'll hang up first. Lu Qiyu hung up the phone indifferently, but Madame Lu kept calling back insistently. He ignored her, thinking that everything would be fine. But who knew that he would come in with a look of death on his face and show Lu Qiyu a video? "Sir, this is from Madame Lu, she wants you to watch it." Lu Qiyu helplessly clicked to open it. In the video, a strong white nylon rope hung from a tree trunk in the garden of the Zitang Manor. Madame Lu stood on a bench, put the rope around her neck, and yelled at the camera, "Lu Qiyu, if you don't come back, I'll hang myself and show you." The man finally sighed, got into the car, and returned to the Zitang Manor. On the way back, Lu Qiyu asked in a deep voice, "Have you found that woman yet?" Sir, no, the hotel surveillance camera broke down that night and didn't capture the girl. Never thought that one day their precious husband would touch a woman. Now they have to find the woman. Is he moved? Lu Jiyu looked out the window at the scenery, his eyes cold. He dared to run after sleeping with me. Who gave her the nerve? I'll search high and low to find that woman. Zitang Manor. Auntie Sue, who was standing nearby, said, "Old madam, are you sure this method will bring back your husband? It's the same old routine every time. I'm afraid your husband is tired of it." Don't worry, Lu Qiyu will definitely come back. This method has never failed. When Madame Lu returned to the lobby, she saw the girl sitting on the sofa, looking around nervously. She quickly sat down next to Li Tangtang with a friendly smile. "Tangtang, don't worry, this will be your home from now on." Li Tangtang was a little restless and felt at a loss as to how to respond to Madame Lu's familiarity. She didn't know the old woman at all. The other party took her away from the entrance of the surgery, saying that she couldn't let her have an abortion. She also said that what she was carrying was her great-grandchild. Then, Li Tangtang was brought here. Now she is at a loss. "Old lady, you." Old Madame Lu immediately corrected Li Tangtang's words. "Tangtang, I am your grandmother, you have to call me grandma, do you understand?" Li Tangtang immediately obediently nodded, "Grandma." Oh, why is our Tangtang so obedient? Old Madame Lu was simply overjoyed at the sight of this obedient, sweet girl. She is so soft-spoken, what if she gets bullied by that rascal Lu Qiyu in the future? "Tangtang, what kind of boy do you like?" Let's sound out the rascal first. Li Tangtang didn't know why Madame Lu asked this question, but after thinking about it, she immediately replied, I like gentle ones. Oh no. Her eldest grandson is not gentle at all, he is as cold as a refrigerator. I hope he is the same age as me, so we can have something to talk about. Grandma Lu felt a chill down her spine. Tang Tang, how old are you? 20. Oh no, my grandson is already 29. No, I'll be 30 in a few months. Tang Tang, can you accept a boyfriend who is a little older than you? Tang Tang Li can accept it, she can accept someone who is 2 or 3 years older, but he has to be good looking, after all, older men have nothing to talk about. Grandma Lu. Stinky big grandson is ugly, has a bad personality and is old. What's going on? The young girl's ideal type is not even remotely like that guy. What's going to happen? Old Madame Lu is frowning. She had hoped that Li Tangtang and stinky big grandson would be able to nurture their relationship after getting married. Now it seems a bit difficult. Li Tangtang saw that old Madame Lu's face wasn't looking too good, and thought that she had said something wrong, so she felt like she was sitting on pins and needles. After a long while, Grandma Lu said, Tang Tang, don't worry. When you marry Chi Yu in the future, he will definitely treat you well. Although he has a bad temper and a cold face, and he is not young anymore, he might be a doting husband. Even as she said this, Grandma Lu felt a little guilty. The more she listened, the more it didn't sound right. Li Tangtang tilted her head and asked doubtfully, Grandma, what are you talking about? What marriage? Grandma Lu still smiled. Tang Tang, don't worry, once you enter our Lu family, Grandma will treat you well and like you are her own granddaughter. She thinks that Li Tangtang is cute. The Lu family hasn't had a little girl for many years. If there is a little girl, she will definitely take good care of her. At this point, Li Tangtang finally realized that something was wrong. Grandma, are you trying to get me to marry your grandson? Yes. Li Tangtang immediately said in a panic, Grandma, no, I don't know your grandson, so how can we get married? She couldn't accept marrying a stranger. What's more, she was now pregnant. Madame Lu smiled kindly, looked meaningfully at Li Tangtang, and said, it doesn't matter if you don't know each other, you've already done intimate things together. Look, you're pregnant with my great-grandson, so you can cultivate your relationship. Tang Tang, don't worry. Li Tangtang was stunned by the sudden revelation. Could it be that the man from the other night was this old woman's grandson? Just as Li Tangtang's thoughts were wandering, the tall figure of a man came into view at the front door. His indifferent and detached face was strange but also a little familiar. A moment later, Li Tangtang's body trembled. It was him. It was the man from the other night. Chapter 5 I do. Let's get married. Li Tangtang clenched her clothes and quickly lowered her head. It really was that man. What should she do? She didn't expect to run into him after a one-night stand. She couldn't let him see her. However, the man didn't see her when she left that day, so he probably wouldn't remember what she looked like, right? Li Tangtang could only comfort herself like this. Lu Qiyu saw the girl next to Madame Lu as soon as he entered the door. He guessed that she was the matchmaking partner that Madame Lu had found for him. His face immediately turned cold. Madame Lu saw him and said, You're back. Come, I'll introduce you. This is Li Tangtang, your wife from now on. Grandma, can you stop messing around? You want me to marry a stranger? Now Grandma has pushed the marriage to this point? Just shoving a woman at him to marry? He disagreed. Who's messing with you? I'm serious. You can take Tang Tang to get married today. Lu Jiyu's face was expressionless, and impatience flashed in his deep eyes. I'm not going to marry a woman I don't know at all. Li Tangtang clenched her fingers. She felt the same way. Although she was now pregnant with this man's child, she would not marry a man so casually. Who knew that Madame Lu would just come right up and give Lu Jiyu a big slap in the face? You little rascal, you did that to that young girl, and now Tang Tang is pregnant with your child. Who else will marry her if you don't? What? What did I do? What did he do? Have a child? Whose child? Lu Jiyu's eyebrows grew tighter and tighter. Grandma, you know my situation very well. Even if you force me to get married, you should find a better excuse. He is sterile. Everyone in the Lu family knows this. Lu Qiyu was a soldier. He was injured and poisoned during a peacekeeping operation, and was diagnosed by a doctor as sterile, unable to have his own offspring in the future. So, how could he possibly get a woman pregnant? Grandma is really outrageous. She will say anything to get him to marry. Grandma, I'm busy. If you're too idle, you can go play with Lu Qiyan. Lu Qiyan is the child of a collateral uncle and also Lu Qiyu's cousin. She gets along well with Madame Lu and they have things to talk about. Lu Qiyu didn't even look at Li Tangtang once the whole time. Li Tangtang deliberately stood behind Madame Lu, afraid to look up. You must never let a man see your face. That girl doesn't care about me. Old Madame Lu let out a gasp. I was just telling you something important, and you bring up that girl? Lu Qiyu, what have I always taught you? Be brave and responsible in everything you do. You've done this yourself, and you're afraid to admit it? What have I done? You got someone pregnant. Lu Qiyu said directly, Grandma, are you telling me to be a father and take responsibility? What's wrong with Grandma today? She knows perfectly well his situation. How could he have gotten someone pregnant? Grandma Lu was furious. How could this stupid grandson not understand what she was saying? But Lu Qiyu had never wanted to get married, and Grandma Lu thought that was why he was denying the affair with Li Tangtang. Rotten kid, this is what I taught you, isn't it? You dare to do it but not to take responsibility for it. I'll beat you to death. Grandma Lu slapped Lu Qiyu's shoulders a few times. Lu Qiyu, will you marry Tang Tang? Lu Qiyu, I have no plans to get married. Fine, you won't say yes, will you? Madame Lu, Su, bring me the rope. Auntie Su is used to this, and immediately gives Madame Lu her special hanging rope. Lu Qiyu, if you don't get married to Tang Tang today, I'll hang myself to death for you. With that, Madame Lu directly hung the rope from the hook specially installed nearby, and was about to put her neck through it. I'll just ask you one thing, will you marry me or not? The rope was already around her neck. There was a strong sense that if Lu Qiyu didn't agree, Madame Lu would just hang herself. Fine, fine, you don't care about your mother-in-law's life at all, right? Madame Lu crossed her arms and kicked the stool, and she really hung herself. Madam! Auntie Su yelled. Grandma! Li Tangtang also didn't expect Madame Lu to suddenly make this move, and she hurriedly followed Lu Qiyu to rescue the person. Lu Qiyu carried the old lady down. Who knew that the first thing Madame Lu said after being rescued was, Lu Qiyu, will you marry Tang Tang? Madame Lu was serious. Grandma! Lu Qiyu was really helpless. This was no trivial matter. How could you just casually decide to get married, not to mention that I don't even know this girl? Suddenly, Lu Qiyu looked up and met Li Tangtang's eyes. Li Tangtang was still unable to react, and her beautiful eyes blinked as she looked at Lu Qiyu. After a few seconds, Li Tangtang came back to her senses and quickly lowered her head. Oh no! He doesn't recognize me, does he? Lu Qiyu's pupils suddenly contracted. His heart was beating wildly. He stepped forward and suddenly grabbed Li Tangtang's slender wrist. It's you! Li Tangtang had a look of death on her face. It's over. He really recognized me. Sir, Li Tangtang was flustered and panicked, trying to break free from Lu Jiyu's grip. But the harder she struggled, the tighter the man held on. She lifted the face of Dai Li, her beautiful eyes misty and hazy, striking straight to Lu Jiyu's heart. Yes. That night. It was with this expression that she begged for mercy. Her eyes were wet. Her voice was so soft and seductive. She told herself not to move. But would he listen to her? No way. It's just that he was too insatiable that day. He made the girl faint. That night, Lu Jiyu didn't really get a good look at the girl's face, but now that he did, his heart rejoiced even more. She was longer and more delicate and beautiful than he had imagined, with a small, soft one, exactly the type he liked. Lu Jiyu kept staring at her and refused to let her go. Li Tangtang cast a helpless look at Madame Lu, who also reacted, mercilessly slapping Lu Jiyu's hand. You idiot, let go of Tang Tang, you're hurting her. Madame Lu's slap brought Lu Jiyu back to his senses. Lu Jiyu, what are you doing? You don't admit your own actions and don't want to take responsibility, and now you want to hit someone. Grandma, no. How did he know that the woman Grandma brought back was the girl from that night? He's been looking for her, okay? Lu Qiyu suppressed his pounding heart and calmly asked, "Grandma, the person you want me to marry is her?" "Yes, it's Tang Tang." Old Madame Lu hugged Tang Tang in her arms and glared at Lu Qiyu. "Now I don't want Tang Tang to marry you. You're so violent, and Tang Tang is so obedient, so maybe you'll bully her in the future." I originally wanted Lu Qiyu to marry Tang Tang, but the great-grandson has a bad temper and scared Tang Tang. "Tang Tang, don't be afraid, Grandma is here, he won't bully you." "Lu Qiyu, I didn't mean to bully her." Madame Lu ignored Lu Qiyu and took Lai Tang Tang by the hand and said, "Tang Tang, if you don't like Lu Qiyu, that's fine, Grandma won't force you. How about this, since our Lu family is wealthy, you can go to your father's side and bear him a son, okay?" "Go to my father's side and bear him a son? What does that mean?" "No, just now Grandma said the girl is pregnant." "Could it be that night?" Lu Qiyu grabbed Li Tongtong's shoulders a little excitedly. "Are you pregnant? What are you doing?" Madame Lu pushed Lu Qiyu away. She sneered, "You didn't admit it, why are you saying this nonsense? Tang Tang, ignore him." Although Lu Qiyu felt a little confused about the pregnancy, he knew exactly how the girl felt that night and the situation of her body. That night, the girl was a virgin. Then this child. "Grandma, I'm willing to get a certificate with her." Chapter 6. My name is Lu Qiyu, your legal husband. "Huh? Why has this brat's attitude changed so much? Just now, he said he didn't want to." "You do?" "Well, I do." Lu Qiyu's gaze fell on Li Tang Tang. He had looked for her for so long, and he never expected her to come to him. How could he possibly pass up this opportunity? He didn't have much desire for women in the first place. After that night, it was as if a long-buried desire had suddenly surged back. He couldn't control it. His mind was filled with images of the girl's charming appearance. During the days when he couldn't find her, Lu Qiyu kept thinking that if he could find this girl, he would definitely hug her and kiss her every day, and do whatever he wanted. Lu Qiyu's speed of agreeing caught Madame Lu off guard. One moment she was saying she didn't want to, and the next she was agreeing cheerfully. But since the big grandson had agreed, it was much easier. Auntie Sue on the side silently put away the rope. "If the gentleman agrees, then the old lady should not have to hang herself, right? Tang Tang, do you want to marry Lu Qiyu?" "Marry?" Li Tang Tang opened her mouth. "Grandma, we don't know each other well. How can we get married if we don't know each other well?" Lu Qiyu's face fell. "Who said we don't know each other well? That night, we were connected to each other the whole night." Boom! Li Tongtong's cheeks turned red up to her neck. Grandma Lu instantly understood what her grandson meant and kicked him in shame. "Shame on you. You don't feel ashamed saying something so blatant. And, you're carrying my child now." Li Tang Tang pursed her lips. "How do you know for sure that the child is yours? What if it's someone else's?" She was weak in saying this. Lu Qiyu laughed softly and said with certainty, "I was your first man, wasn't I?" I. Li Tang Tang looked at Lu Qiyu and didn't know how to reply. Lu Jiyu's original slightest doubt disappeared completely in response to the girl's reaction. That night, she was so awkward and didn't want to experience that kind of thing at all. "But I don't want to get married." Lu Jiyu's eyes darkened. He was about to say something when Madame Lu stopped him with a look. "Tang Tang, what's growing inside you is our Lu family's great-grandson. We need to give him a proper identity, and so do you." Li Tang Tang, "But she's only 20 years old. Marriage has never been in her plans." "Madame Lu, don't say but. Listen to your grandmother, I won't harm you." Li Tang Tang was still torn. The main reason is that she doesn't know Lu Qiyu well. Although there was a one-night stand, they are still essentially unfamiliar with each other. Moreover, in her heart, Li Tang Tang wondered what had come to her mind, and her mood became a little low. "Tang Tang, Grandma is at this age, not many years to live, I just want to hold a great-grandchild, Lu Qiyu is also getting old, and my health is getting worse and worse." Old Madame Lu squeezed out 2 tears of sadness. "Don't worry, the Lu family will support the child after he is born, he won't suffer, you don't have to worry." Li Tang Tang pursed her lips. Old Madame Lu used her trump card, "Tang Tang, in fact, Grandma knows your family situation, don't worry, as long as you promise, Grandma will successfully get you a diploma, you won't have to worry about making a living, and you can continue to do the things you like." To be honest, Li Tang Tang is also a pitiful child. Grandma Lu thought to herself that when Li Tangtang married Lu Jiyu in the future, she would take good care of her. Li Tongtong's expression changed. Looking at the surroundings, the Lu family was indeed not an ordinary family. It was much better than the Li family. If she was willing to bear the child, would she be able to stop worrying about her livelihood and continue painting? Grandma, can I continue painting? Old Madame Lu, of course you can. Don't worry, I'll open an art studio for you, and I'll give you the best materials, okay? Li Tangtang was tempted. She also felt that the child in her belly was innocent. If she had the means, she wouldn't want to give it up either. Moreover, her family still wanted her to marry an older man. Her life was not guaranteed, and even after what had happened, it would be difficult for her to graduate. If she had the Lu family's support, would her life not be so difficult? Grandma, but I don't have a household registration book. I heard that you need a household registration book to get married, and Li Tongtong's household registration book is being held by her stepmother. Plus, they want to marry her off to an older man now, so they definitely won't let her marry someone else. But this little matter is not a problem in front of the Lu family. It's just a household registration book, so they can just make a phone call. If it weren't for the fear that Li Tangtang would be shocked, the Civil Affairs Bureau could be moved in front of them. 2 hours later, 2 red books were placed in front of the two of them. When they spread them open, they saw the photos on them. A handsome man and a beautiful woman were shown. Madame Lu couldn't stop smiling. Lu Jiyu also looked in a good mood. Only Li Tangtang was in a daze. In less than 2 hours, she had married a man she had a one-night stand with. And she had agreed to marry him so easily. Moreover, the pace was too fast. She didn't even have a household registration book yet. How could the Civil Affairs Bureau agree to their marriage? It really feels like a dream. Li Tangtang put the marriage certificate away and looked up at Lu Jiyu and said, "When the baby is born, we'll get a divorce. After all, Madame Lu just wants to hold her great-grandchild. And she just wants to give birth to the baby, graduate successfully, and do what she likes. After the baby is born, they will have nothing to do with each other. Li Tangtang, don't worry, I won't stick around." The joy of marriage was extinguished by a few words from Li Tangtang, and Lu Jiyu's face turned black on the spot. Does this little woman know what she's saying? How many women in the capital want to meet him and marry him? Why is it that with Li Tangtang, she instead wants to distance herself from him? He sneered, "Divorce?" Li Tangtang looked at him blankly, and nodded. "There was never any affection between us, and I know you only agreed to get married because of Grandma's coercion." She knew this very well. But just as Li Tangtang finished saying this, the man took a step closer. His long fingers lifted Li Tongtong's chin, and their eyes met. Faced with Lu Jiyu's sudden closeness, Li Tongtong's heart inexplicably pounded. She nervously touched her stomach, and she was about to speak when the man suddenly kissed her. Li Tangtang, ah! Lu Jiyu held the girl's nape of the neck to prevent her from struggling. The deep kiss continued lingering. This is the feeling. I really want to drown in her. After a while, Lu Jiyu let go of Li Tangtang. The girl in front of him was panicked and pale from Lu Jiyu's actions. "You?" Li Tangtang pursed her slightly red lips and didn't know what to say for a moment. How could he kiss her? Lu Jiyu's face was full of a wry smile. What's the point of getting so excited? Li Tangtang blushed. We don't know each other well. But we slept together. Li Tangtang, it was just a one-night stand. Lu Jiyu waved the marriage certificate in his hand. Yes, so we are married, and now it is a legal marriage. This. Li Tangtang was suddenly at a loss for words. She had forgotten. She should have made it clear before the wedding that she would not fulfill the marital relationship with a man. I'm sorry, I need to make it clear in advance, I won't do it with you. Before Li Tangtang could finish her sentence, Lu Jiyu took her hand and smiled gently. Let's formally meet. My name is Lu Jiyu, your legal husband. Chapter 7, in the future, I will protect you well. And, divorce is impossible. I, Lu Jiyu, am only widowed, not divorced. Li Tongtong's lips opened in shock when the overbearing words came out. No. She had never thought about staying with this man forever. We have no feelings for each other, and a marriage without feelings is like a grave. Although she has never experienced marriage either, everyone says that marriages without feelings will eventually end in divorce. Not to mention. From the very beginning, she and Lu Qiyu have never had any feelings for each other. How could two people like this make it to the end? Lu Qiyu didn't seem to be affected by her words, but instead, he smiled tenderly. I know, so I will make you fall in love with me. The man lowered his eyes and looked at her. I will make you fall in love with me, Tang Tang. The words Tang Tang coming from his mouth had an indescribable ambiguity. Li Tang Tang's heart inexplicably quickened. The girl was dazed, and Lu Qiyu only thought that she had not responded, so he naturally and intimately patted her on the head, being good, go home. Lu Qiyu took Li Tang Tang's hand, and Li Tang Tang, very confused, followed behind him, completely forgetting to shake his hand off. When she saw the scene, Madame Lu, who had gone back to the car to wait, almost dropped her jaw. Su, what's wrong with this brat, Lu Qiyu? He doesn't like getting married and resists girls, right? Look at him, he's holding Tong Tong's hand so naturally and happily, just like a dog licking. Auntie Su. If Sir hears the old lady say this, I guess his face will turn black again. I can tell that Sir really likes Miss Tang Tang. Old Madame Lu nodded. Yes, and Tang Tang is really a charming child. Now that she has given birth to Lu Jiyu's child, the Lu family should love her even more. In fact, at first, old Madame Lu was shocked when she heard that Li Tang Tang was pregnant. In fact, at first, old Madame Lu didn't dare to believe it. Ever since that year when Lu Jiyu was brought back from the battlefield, covered in blood and flesh, the doctor said that his body had been poisoned and that he might not be able to father any children in the future. At that time, the Lu family was very sad. This was the best child of their generation. Moreover, she also wanted to enjoy the happiness of a family. On the contrary, Lu Jiyu didn't really care about this matter. For him, whether or not there was an heir was not the most important thing. But Madame Lu didn't quite believe that Lu Jiyu was really unable to have children. How could she be sure that her grandson, who had never touched a woman, was unable to do so? Madame Lu refused to believe it. So she wanted to get Lu Qiyu married. Since there would be no offspring in the future, and since Lu Qiyu seemed to have no interest in women, he had always disagreed with her suggestion. So there was nothing she could do but come up with the most clumsy solution. She drugged Lu Qiyu. And then sent a woman over. But what she didn't expect was that her grandson, who had such good self-control, had the girl sent over by force thrown out. She thought there was really no other way. Unexpectedly, Lu Qiyu, who had never wanted to touch a woman, spent that night making love to a strange girl. What she didn't expect was that the girl got pregnant. Grandmother Lu was very excited and immediately had Li Tongtong's information checked. The girl's life trajectory was very clean. Apart from a precarious engagement, there was nothing else, and the girl didn't have any interactions with her fiancé, who was still studying abroad. Although it's not good to steal someone's wife. And the girl is even less close to any guy. So she is certain that Li Tangtang is pregnant with her grandson's child. That's why she let Lu Jiyu and Li Tangtang get married. Li Tangtang was led by Lu Jiyu to another car. Lu Jiyu, a gentleman, opened the door and let Li Tangtang get in. After getting in the car, the two were silent. Li Tangtang felt a little embarrassed. Lu Qiyu, on the other hand, didn't know how to chat with a girl. After living for so many years, he was proficient and excellent at everything, except for matters of the heart. Just as Lu Qiyu was about to say something to Li Tangtang, the girl's shaggy head suddenly looked over, hanging down on Lu Qiyu's shoulder. His body stiffened slightly, and when he glanced away, he saw that Li Tangtang had fallen asleep. She looked even more obedient when she was asleep. Her long eyelashes trembled lightly. Her small nose. Her full red lips. She was delicate and flawless. Everything about her was exactly what he liked. Lu Qiyu suddenly felt very grateful that Li Tangtang had run into her room that night. No. That night, the girl had obviously been drugged. Why was she drugged? And there were people chasing after her. It seemed that he would have to investigate his little wife's affairs. Lu Jiyu was in a good mood and even asked He to drive slowly so as not to wake Li Tangtang. Li Tangtang didn't know when she fell asleep. When she woke up, she was being carried upstairs by Lu Jiyu. I fell asleep? Lu Jiyu laughed lightly, obviously. Li Tangtang felt embarrassed. She had been very tired these days. She had to work part-time every day, and with the news of her pregnancy just being discovered these past 2 days, she hadn't been able to sleep well. Let me down, I can walk by myself. Li Tangtang wanted Lu Qiyu to let her down. As soon as she moved, the man slapped her on the butt. Boom! She blushed. Why did he slap her butt? Don't move, we're almost at the room. Li Tangtang didn't dare to move again. Lu Jiyu carefully put the girl on the bed. Go to sleep, get some rest. After you rest, a doctor will come to examine your body. Why do I need to be examined? Because you are now pregnant with my child, and I must ensure that the child is healthy. Li Tangtang, oh. Lu Jiyu looked at the girl's cute appearance and didn't say anything else. Go to sleep. Li Tangtang was really tired. Although Lu Jiyu was there, she closed her eyes and fell asleep soon after. After the little wife fell asleep, Lu Jiyu called He Yi and asked him to investigate Li Tangtang's family situation and what happened that night. Later, He Yi brought Li Tangtang's information over. In the study, Lu Jiyu looked through the information. The more he read, the tighter his brows became. Li Tangtang, the Li family is living such a hard life. She is obviously the child of the original wife, but she is being suppressed by her stepmother and stepsister, and she is not even as good as a servant in the family? Not enough to eat, not warm enough to wear? He Yi said, Sir, that day, Miss Li's intrusion into your room was indeed an accident. Miss Li's family wanted her to marry the old man of the Su family, but she was unwilling, so she ran away. She should have run to your room to hide. The hotel's surveillance camera was broken. But it is not difficult to see from the sequence of events that night, Li Tangtang was running away. And then she had sex with Lu Jiyu. Lu Jiyu's eyes were cold. The girl has suffered so much. How dare they? After reading the information, Lu Jiyu returned to the bedroom where Li Tangtang was sleeping. He sat by the bed. The girl was sleeping peacefully, her delicate and pretty little face like a lotus flower emerging from the water. Lu Jiyu couldn't help but feel affection for her. It was strange. In the past 20-odd years, he had never felt this way. It seemed that he understood what love was. It was the girl who had been on his mind after that night. It was when he saw her again that he had no hesitation in marrying her. And it was now, after seeing what had happened to Li Tangtang. He vowed to protect her. Tangbao, I will protect you from now on and will not let anyone bully you again. Chapter 8, This Kiss is a Thank You. Li Tangtang didn't know what Lu Jiyu was thinking, nor did she know that he was there. The girl slept soundly. Her little mouth twitched from time to time. She looked like a little baby. Lu Jiyu was mesmerized. His palm stroked the girl's face. At this moment, the girl suddenly rolled over, her soft and tender cheeks pressing against Lu Jiyu's palm. Lu Jiyu froze for a moment, and then a faint smile appeared on his face. Li Tangtang slept very comfortably. After all, the Lu family's conditions were much better than her small, run-down rented house. The bed was big, soft and comfortable, and with the air conditioning on, she was able to sleep for a long time. So when she woke up, it was already 4 p.m. Young madam, you're awake? Auntie Su came over with a smile on her face. Li Tangtang was still groggy from sleep, and had forgotten where she was. Where is this? Auntie Su laughed out loud and said, Young madam, this is your home. Knowing that Li Tangtang was confused, Auntie Su said, You got your marriage certificate with our husband this morning, don't you remember? Oh, right. Li Tangtang just remembered. She still felt like it was a dream. She was really married. Did the young madam rest well? Li Tangtang nodded, a little embarrassed. I slept very comfortably. I seem to have slept for a long time. I'm sorry. It was also her first time resting here, so it was strange that she had slept so soundly. Auntie Su thought that Li Tangtang was adorable, and the young mistress was being modest. This is your home, you can sleep as long as you like, no one will bother you, and no one dares to. Li Tangtang. She's not used to it yet. But even though she's not used to it, she slept quite soundly. Young mistress, if you're rested, we can go downstairs and do the checkup. What checkup? Auntie Su, the gentleman and the old lady asked the doctor to come and examine you to check the development of the baby in your belly. Okay. Li Tangtang didn't resist. She knew that she was able to be here because of the baby in her belly. She obediently got up, dressed, and went downstairs. Young mistress, let me help you. Auntie Su, you don't have to be so polite. I don't like it. You can just call me Tang Tang in the future. Auntie Su smiled. Young mistress, these are the rules. The Lu family is not like other families. She has to follow the rules while she is here. Okay. Li Tangtang didn't say anything else. After getting dressed, Li Tangtang went downstairs with Auntie Sue. As soon as she arrived, she saw the man sitting on the sofa reading a document. She should say something. Her husband in this marriage of convenience is really handsome. Just by sitting there, Li Tangtang felt wow. Although she has never been in a relationship, she is a face-obsessed person and likes good-looking men. In the past, she had thought about finding a handsome husband for herself in the future. Now she did have a handsome husband. It was just that there was no affection. She felt a little lost when she thought about it. As soon as she appeared at the top of the stairs, Lu Qiyu noticed her. The man threw his documents on the coffee table and quickly walked upstairs. Wake up. How was your rest? Li Tangtang was not yet used to the intimacy between the two of them. She nodded sheepishly, I rested very well. That's good. As soon as the words fell, Li Tangtang felt a dizzying spin, and the next second, she had already been carried downstairs by Lu Qiyu. No. Why did he suddenly hug her? After putting Li Tangtang on the sofa, Lu Qiyu said, there will be a doctor to examine your body in a while, don't be afraid. Li Tangtang hugged his neck and nodded. At this time, she couldn't help but look at Lu Qiyu a few more times. This man is quite gentle. As they looked at each other, their eyes met. Li Tangtang was caught, and she lowered her head in embarrassment. Lu Qiyu laughed lightly, and said, if you want to look, just look. I'm your husband, don't be shy. That's what he said. Well, uncle, you don't know me, so why did you agree to marry me? Uncle? Lu Qiyu frowned. Did you just call me uncle? Feeling the man's displeasure, Li Tangtang pursed her lips. Her grandmother had said, you're 10 years older than me. Lu Qiyu. It seems that it is true. The little girl is so young and tender. The two of them are 10 years apart. But Lu Qiyu doesn't like her calling him uncle. Call me husband. Li Tangtang was dumbfounded. Old husband? Lu Qiyu said matter-of-factly, well, I'm married to you now, so what's the problem with you calling me husband? There is no problem. The problem is that she can't call him that. Li Tangtang struggled for a long time, and she could never call him husband. Lu Qiyu saw the girl twine her two fingers together, her little face scrunched up, and knew that she couldn't call him out. Although he felt a bit sorry, he thought about it and realized that he had been too hasty. They didn't have any foundation for a relationship, and Li Tangtang was shy, so how could she be willing to call him husband? Take your time. You can't rush things. If she doesn't want to call him husband, she can call him Au or Lu Qiyu. She can't call him uncle. After thinking about it, Li Tangtang said, can I call you Lu Qiyu? Calling him husband or Au seems too intimate, but she and Lu Qiyu are obviously not that intimate, so she can't call him that. It's fine. Let her call him that for now, and in the future, Lu Qiyu will definitely let her call him husband, and he will make her call him that in bed. The kind that is called out in tears. Sir, the doctor is here. Lu Qiyu nodded, and the doctor began to examine Li Tangtang. After a thorough examination, the doctor said, sir, don't worry, the fetus in your wife's womb is very healthy and developing well, but your wife is too thin, and she needs to supplement her nutrition in the future. He looked at Li Tangtang and indeed, her arms and legs were small. Her waist was also very thin, so thin that he could hold it in his hands. I see. Lu Qiyu asked Auntie Sue to take care of Li Tangtang first, and he went to the study with the doctor. In the study. Lu Qiyu, how is my physical examination report? The doctor quickly took out Lu Jiyu's physical examination report. Sir, your report shows that your body has recovered somewhat. What do you mean? Doctor, previously, you had azoospermia due to poisoning, but now, your body has recovered somewhat and you have oligospermia. Therefore, there is a certain chance that you can get a girl pregnant. The doctor also didn't expect Lu Qiyu's body to recover. Coupled with the fact that he was also poisoned at the time, he didn't think there was much hope, but now Lu Qiyu has a child. Lu Qiyu glanced at the report and I see. Coming down the stairs, Lu Qiyu saw the girl eating voraciously. So hungry? Lu Jiyu's sudden appearance startled Li Tangtang, and she coughed violently, her face turning red. Lu Qiyu quickly handed her the glass of water next to her and rubbed her back. Am I that scary? You see me getting so nervous? Li Tangtang shook her head as she drank the water. No. Although, that was a rhetorical question. Lu Qiyu. And speaks in a soft-spoken manner. Eat slowly, don't be nervous, you have to get used to this place being your home, and get used to me being your husband. Li Tongtong's eyes suddenly felt a little warm. Home? No one had said that word to her in a long time. Could she really consider this place her home? Lu Jiyu? Did he say the wrong thing? Why are the young lady's eyes red again? Li Tangtang looked up, and I see, thank you. Husbands and wives don't need to thank each other. But if you want to, that's fine. Lu Qiyu suddenly lowered his head and lightly kissed Li Tongtong's lips, as if the kiss was a token of thanks. Chapter 9, A Normal Man Needs Conjugal Life. Li Tangtang opened her eyes slightly. He kissed me again. How can he be so familiar? Lu Jiyu likes Li Tongtong's innocent and clear eyes, and also likes the surprise and shyness in her eyes when he kisses her. This kind of thing will happen a lot in the future, so you need to get used to it. After some deep thought, Lu Jiyu added, by the way, I didn't marry my wife just to have her around. He didn't want Li Tangtang to think that he married her just to have this baby. He also wanted her for himself. What do you mean? I'm normal, and normal men need conjugal relations. Li Tangtang was stunned, her eyes blinking. What conjugal relations? You don't mean doing what we did that night? But you have the baby now, I won't let you do anything. Li Tangtang? Lu Jiyu sighed. If the young girl doesn't understand, that's fine. There's still plenty of time. He has plenty of time. It's a pity that she has a baby in her belly. Otherwise, by now, he would have already eaten her up. After eating, Li Tangtang fell asleep again. She has been sleepy since becoming pregnant. Seeing her drowsy, Lu Qiyu let her go to rest. Li Tangtang was afraid that Lu Qiyu would suddenly hug her again, so she hurriedly ran upstairs. Back in her room, Li Tangtang carefully closed the door. It was strange. Why did her heart always race when she faced Lu Qiyu? Her head felt dizzy. Li Tangtang climbed into bed and prepared to sleep when her phone vibrated. Li Tangtang glanced at it, but it didn't respond. The caller was Li Tongtong's father. But Li Tangtang had already given up on him, and she hung up. She didn't want to answer. If she did, she would just be scolded by Li Bushing. For more than a month, she has exhausted every means to avoid them. After her mother passed away, her father became even more impatient with her. He dotes on his stepdaughter. He either beats or scolds her, or ignores her. He lets the mother and daughter bully her. Sometimes Li Tangtang wonders, am I not his daughter? Why does he dislike me so much? As she thinks about it, Li Tangtang falls asleep crying. Li family. Li Bushing angrily threw his phone aside. That damned girl, Li Tangtang, still wouldn't answer the phone. Bushing, don't be angry. That girl, Tangtang, is just being a brat. Li Yaya, sister has also gone missing. Father, if sister doesn't come back, how are we going to explain this to President Lu? The girl said this, and a vicious gleam flashed in her eyes. This Li Tangtang, ever since she ran away that night, she has been unable to find her. Her original plan could not be carried out because of her escape. She clenched her fists slightly. Her marriage to the Lu family has already been agreed upon, and she will marry even if she doesn't want to. She must be found this month and married off. Li Yeye and Zhang Ting exchanged glances. They both smiled triumphantly. Li Tangtang slept straight through until the next day. She got up early that day. Old Madame Lu was surprised to see her get up so early. Oh, Tangtang, why are you up so early? Get some more rest. Li Tangtang, Grandma, I have something to do today. Grandma Lu, what is it? I have to go work part-time. Part-time? Tangtang, what kind of part-time work are you doing? Waitressing. She has always had a part-time job. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to support herself. The Li family doesn't care about her. Waitress? Old Madame Lu is surprised. She has investigated Li Tangtang's family situation and knows that her father is not treating her well, but the Li family is not even giving Li Tangtang money to let her work part-time? And as a waitress? Yes, Grandma, I've already taken 2 days off. I'm going to work now. She needs to earn money and go back to school to continue her studies. Her major is expensive, and she needs money for living expenses. She just doesn't know if it will be convenient for her to go back to school in the future because she is pregnant. She is afraid that Grandma Lu and Lu Jiyu will not let her go to school and will let her go after the baby is born. In a wealthy family like theirs, they will definitely put the emphasis on having an heir, right? Tang Tang, you don't have to go. Grandma Lu said, you don't have to work part-time anymore. No, Grandma, the restaurant owner told me to go over there. They need extra hands and are paying her a few $100 more for the part-time job. Li Tang Tang was very grateful. She couldn't just say no and not go. If she didn't go, how would the other person's work get done? Where to? Suddenly, a male voice came from somewhere. When Madame Lu saw Lu Jiyu, she hurriedly said, Tang Tang is going out to work. Part-time. Part-time? Li Tang Tang nodded, yes, I've been working part-time, except that I took some time off the past 2 days. Lu Jiyu frowned, what part-time job are you doing? Waitress. Madame Lu helped answer. Waitress? Lu Jiyu's brows furrowed even tighter. His wife needs to be a waitress? If anyone else finds out, they'll die of laughter. You're not going. Li Tang Tang looked at Lu Jiyu with grievance. Why? You're my wife now, I support you, there's no need for you to work part-time. Lu Jiyu has nothing, only the most money. How can his wife go out and work part-time? But I don't like being supported by others, I also need to have my own job. The Lu family's conditions seem really good, but the money is their money, not her Li Tang Tang's money. If she divorces Lu Jiyu in the future, she won't get anything, so she can't lose her ability to work. Tang Tang, didn't Grandma tell you that if you marry Lu Jiyu, our family will treat you very well, and you don't need to worry about anything in your life? Just tell us what you want. Madame Lu looked at Li Tang Tang and said, Tang Tang, are you short of money? No. Why did she ask that question? If she wasn't short of money, how could Li Tang Tang be working part-time? Or was she just being careless? Lu Jiyu, where's your supplementary black card? No, you have a card with me. Madame Lu asked Auntie Sue to bring it over and slip it into Li Tang Tang's hand. Tang Tang, this card has no limit, so you can spend as much as you like, don't worry about running out of money. Looking at the black card in her hand, even though Li Tang Tang had never owned one before, she knew the importance of this black card. Even Li Yaya had never seen a black card, let alone have one in her hands. Grandma, I can't take it. Grandma Lu stopped Li Tang Tang from trying to return the card. What did she say? You are now the daughter-in-law of our Lu family, so you should use the best things. Grandma will give you this card, so you can use it and spend it as you like. If you don't have enough, let Lu Jiyu keep earning it for you. A husband is supposed to earn money for his wife to spend. Lu Jiyu, don't you agree? Lu Jiyu, Grandma is right. We are already married, so what's mine is yours. But? No buts. Take it, or Grandma will be angry. Grandma Lu deliberately put on a stern face, so Li Tang Tang dared not refuse to accept it. That's a good boy. Grandma Lu said, Tang Tang, don't take that part-time job. You're not feeling well, and you shouldn't work too hard. But I promised the boss that if I didn't go, they wouldn't have enough staff, and if they didn't have enough staff, it would be difficult for the others to go to work. She has also done a lot of part-time work, and if there are not enough people, other people will be very busy, tired, and hardworking. Li Tang Tang felt that it was better to keep one's promise. Even if I don't go, I have to tell the boss. I will handle this matter. Lu Jiyu spoke up and I will let someone notify the boss and compensate him for his losses, and at the same time tell him about your resignation. Yes, just do what Lu Jiyu said. Li Tang Tang hesitated for a while, okay then. After a while, Li Tang Tang added, Grandma, actually, I have one more thing to do today. What is it? I rented a small house outside, and I want to go back and cancel the lease today. The Li family desperately wanted her to marry an older man, so Li Tang Tang naturally didn't dare go home. Now that she is living with the Lu family, she doesn't need to rent a house. It also saves a lot of money. Old Madame Lu, that's fine. Let Lu Jiyu accompany you to go shopping first, and after that, he can go with you to cancel the lease. Chapter 10, let his wife know that he is rich. Xiaoyu, go out and have a look around with Tang Tang. Li Tang Tang, Grandma, there's no need to go shopping. She doesn't have any money. She can't buy anything even if she goes shopping. She completely forgot that just now old Madame Lu had just slipped her a black card. Lu Jiyu looks at the girl, I don't have anything planned today, so it's good to go out for a walk with you. By the way, he wants his young wife to know that he is very rich. And as his wife, she doesn't need to work part-time. She doesn't even need to work as a waitress. She just needs to spend his money. Li Tang Tang. In fact, she is still a little afraid of Lu Qiyu. It will definitely be very awkward for the two of them to go shopping alone. She doesn't know what to talk about with him either. Li Tang Tang still wanted to refuse. Tang Tang, it's fine, you are now the wife of the person in charge of the Lu family, let Lu Qiyu accompany you to buy some comfortable clothes and beautiful jewelry, okay? Since Madame Lu had already said so, Li Tang Tang was not good at refusing and could only agree. Seeing Li Tang Tang go upstairs to get her bag, Madame Lu said to Lu Qiyu, you go out with Tang Tang today and accompany her well. Tang Tang is also pitiful, so buy her more things and let her know that our Lu family is big and wealthy and has the most money, so we can raise her well. I know, Grandma, said Lu Qiyu, who had already had this in mind. Soon, Lu Qiyu got into the car with Li Tang Tang. The car was quiet. Li Tang Tang didn't know what to say either. It was a bit awkward. Have you been feeling unwell lately? It was Lu Qiyu who spoke first. Li Tang Tang, no. Lu Qiyu naturally took Li Tang Tang's hand and said, pregnancy is hard work. If you feel unwell, remember to tell me. I'm your husband, and I should help you bear some of the burden, understand? The man in front of her was so gentle. And so handsome. Li Tang Tang's heart fluttered in an instant. It felt like an electric current running through her. She nodded with a slight blush, saying, Lu Qiyu thought she was cute and tight, blushing without saying anything. What if they were in bed in the future? He didn't think he would be a gentleman in bed. That night was the best proof. The two of them didn't talk about anything else on the way, and at first Li Tang Tang still felt that it wasn't natural enough. Fortunately, Lu Qiyu kept reading his documents, and he was very focused, so Li Tang Tang felt a little relieved. If he was reading, she wouldn't have to find a topic to strike up a conversation with him. She lowered the car window, and the breeze blew on her face, lifting her long, dark, slightly curly hair, which brushed against Lu Jiyu's cheek. The slight tickle on his face forced Lu Jiyu to look up, and he saw the girl raising her lips and closing her eyes to enjoy the breeze. Li Tang Tang was very beautiful. She was the kind of delicate beauty. Her face is white and tender. Lu Qiyu has met many beautiful girls, they are all different, they are also very pretty, but no one is like Li Tang Tang, who can hit his heart and make his heart tremble. Maybe this is fate. Maybe Li Tang Tang is his type. Li Tang Tang just turned her head and suddenly saw Lu Qiyu staring at her. She blushed with embarrassment. Wasn't he looking at the file? When did he start looking at her? That. Suddenly, Lu Jiyu's large palm suddenly stroked Li Tang Tang's face. Li Tang Tang was stunned, not daring to move, and her breathing caught. She kept her round eyes fixed on Lu Jiyu, wondering if he was going to kiss her again. Thinking about this possibility, Li Tang Tang bowed her head slightly. But the next second, Lu Jiyu lifted her chin up. Tang Tang. Li Tang Tang stammered, Are you nervous? Li Tang Tang swallowed, No. No. She stuttered when she spoke, and yet she said she wasn't nervous. This little mouth is really very kissable. Sometimes Lu Qiyu really wants to ignore everything and hold the girl down and kiss her hard. But he is afraid of scaring her. Lu Qiyu doesn't want this to happen. For the sake of their future happiness, he has to wage a protracted battle. Lu Jiyu let go of Li Tang Tang, who immediately let out a sigh of relief. She really didn't understand Lu Jiyu. Apart from that intimate encounter the other night, they didn't know anything about each other. Lu Jiyu said he wouldn't divorce her, but Li Tang Tang didn't really believe him. They had gotten married because they had a child. There was no emotional foundation. In the future, when Lu Jiyu met a girl he liked, he wouldn't remember this incident. And she wouldn't stay with Lu Jiyu forever. Therefore, apart from their parent-child status, it is best for them to have little contact. They soon arrived at the mall. Because the company called to report something, Lu Qiyu asked Li Tang Tang to go to the mall and have a look first, and he would follow. Buy whatever you want, don't save money for me, Tang Tang, remember, your husband is very rich, especially rich. Li Tang Tang nodded dazedly. What's going on? Lu Jiyu looked kind of handsome when he said that. Her heart started pounding again. Li Tang Tang nodded and got out of the car. She touched her heart. Why does it keep pounding? It's so annoying. Li Tang Tang entered the mall alone. In fact, she didn't know what to buy. In the past, at the Li household, all her clothes were things that Li Yeye didn't want anymore, or her stepmother would deliberately buy old-fashioned clothes and force her to wear them. She hadn't bought any new clothes for a long time. So now, she didn't know what to buy either. Li Tangtang casually found a spot and looked inside. This was a luxury brand store. The waiter saw Li Tangtang come in and warmly took care of her. Although she looked very ordinary, the waiter didn't neglect her. Unfortunately, Li Tangtang felt like she was touching a hot potato when she saw the price tag. This is too expensive. A short-sleeved shirt costs tens of thousands of dollars. What kind of luxury store has she entered? Although the Li family is wealthy, since her mother passed away, Li Tangtang has never enjoyed the Li family's money. She even has to earn her own tuition fees. Unfortunately, her mother passed away when she was 7 years old. If her mother were still alive, she might not be in so much pain. She would also be someone who was loved by her mother. "Miss, this dress suits you very well, would you like to try it on?" Li Tangtang glanced at the price. More than 30,000. That's her living expenses for a year. She didn't dare to buy even a little bit. She was about to say no when a familiar voice suddenly came from behind her. "Li Tangtang?" Li Tangtang turned around and saw a familiar face, and her face paled slightly. "Li Tangtang, is it really you?" Zhao Manjin and He Ye came over holding hands. "How come you're in this kind of shop? Can a poor person like you afford it?" He Ye also laughed mockingly. "You waitresses are really something, letting her in even though she's dressed so shabbily, dragging the standard of your shop down." The two of them unscrupulously mocked Li Tangtang. Li Tangtang pursed her lips and clenched her hands tightly. She hated these two people, and she was always bullied by Li Ye, who used her as a pawn. She turned around and was about to leave, but the two people opposite her obviously did not want Li Tangtang to go. Zhao Manjin bumped into Li Tangtang, and Li Tangtang almost fell. She immediately thought of the baby in her stomach and quickly covered her stomach tightly. Who knew that she couldn't stand steadily and could only hold on to the clothes next to her? Slash! The dress that Li Tangtang grabbed was torn to shreds. The waiter's eyes widened. Zhao Manjin and He Yuanyue gloated at Li Tangtang. "Li Tangtang, you tore someone's dress." He Yuanyue picked up the dress and laughed even more. "This dress cost 50,000 yuan, Li Tangtang, can you afford to pay for it?" 50,000 yuan? Li Tangtang bit her lip and angrily looked at Zhao Manjin. "You just deliberately bumped into me, causing me to fall and accidentally tear my clothes." Zhao Manjin shrugged nonchalantly. "Really? I don't remember." Chapter 11, I'm afraid I'll lose some of my lifespan from overdoing it. "You said I tripped you, but who saw it?" Zhao Manjin was certain that Li Tangtang could not afford to pay for the damage, and gloated, "Now that the dress is ruined, Li Tangtang, how are you going to pay for it?" She looked at Li Tangtang up and down, and said, "You look so poor. How about this, you kneel down and kowtow to me, and if I'm in a good mood, I might pay for the dress." Zhao Manjin and He Ye knew all about Li Tangtang's situation. They had bullied Li Tangtang before, and didn't think there was a problem. Now, they just wanted to see Li Tangtang's embarrassment. After all, 50,000 yuan was more than Li Tangtang, a poor girl, could possibly pay. "Miss, this dress." The waitress was on the verge of tears. This was 50,000 yuan. If the customer didn't pay for the damage, she would have to. This was half a year's salary. If she paid for the damage, she would have to live on air for the rest of the year. So, she could only look at Li Tangtang. "Li Tangtang, what do you say, if you give me a bao, I'll pay for it?" Zhao Man smiled cruelly. Teasing Li Tangtang was something they did with ease. In their eyes, there is no moral bottom line. As long as they are happy, it's fine. Li Tangtang immediately refused. Impossible. How could she kneel? A man's knees have gold. Don't women have it? Moreover, it was obviously them who teased her, causing her to ruin the dress. If you can't, you'll have to pay for it yourself. I don't think you can afford it. They played well with Li Ye and naturally knew how vicious this woman Li Tangtang was. The Li family had long since stopped giving her any living expenses. I'm afraid she can't even come up with 500 yuan. Seeing the ridicule and teasing in the other person's eyes, Li Tangtang, who was usually good-natured, suddenly became enraged. She wouldn't get angry. Would she be stupid if she didn't have any temper? How do you know I can't afford it? What if I can? She suddenly thought of the black card that Madame Lu had given her. What a joke, Li Tang Tang, don't pretend to be a big shot here. He yeah said, if you can afford it, we'll kowtow to you. Li Tang Tang laughed, as you say. She glanced at the waitress next to her. Little sister, you heard me. The waitress froze for a moment, and nodded. Although she didn't know why rich people like to make such a bad bet. But it has nothing to do with her. As long as she doesn't provoke them. Since they provoked her, Li Tang Tang really didn't want to tolerate it. Little sister, here you are, go ahead and swipe it. Suddenly, Li Tang Tang pulled out a black card. Waitress. Is this a black card? Zhao Manjin and He Ye looked at each other. Black card? Zhao Manjin sneered, Li Tang Tang, don't pretend, if you have a black card, then I have 10. She hasn't seen a black card yet. How could Li Tang Tang have a black card? Zhao Manjin felt that Li Tang Tang was just fooling people. Li Tang Tang didn't want to explain at all. She was angry. She just wanted to see them lose and kowtow to her. Wait and see who kowtows to whom. The waiter was a little excited, holding the black card in his hand. Mom, yeah. Although she didn't spend the black card. She had touched it. She could brag to her friends in the future. She took the card reader and swiped the card. After a few seconds, it beeped. Waiter, miss, could you please enter your PIN? PIN? Li Tongtong's face screwed up. I don't know the PIN. Grandma didn't tell her. Ha, this is so funny, she doesn't even know the PIN for her own card. Li Tang Tang, do you want to be so embarrassing? You don't even know the PIN for your own card, and you're still showing it off. This card probably isn't even real. Yeah, what's with the act? You don't deserve a black card. If you had a black card, I'd be the richest person in the world. The two mercilessly mocked Li Tang Tang. So, the waiter didn't know what to do either. Wait a minute, I'll make a call. Li Tang Tang took out her phone and looked through the contacts, and when she found Lu Zhiyu's name, she dialed. Fortunately, her grandmother had told her to memorize Lu Zhiyu's phone number. She dialed the number. Soon, a deep male voice came from the other end. Tang Tang. Every time Lu Zhiyu called her Tang Tang, Li Tang Tang always felt differently. She thought his voice was so nice and magnetic, and it made her feel very comfortable. She just blushed and her heart pounded. Lu Zhiyu, what's the password for your black card? My birthday. I don't know your birthday. Lu Zhiyu said a string of numbers. Li Tang Tang wrote it down. Thanks, then I won't bother you anymore. Lu Zhiyu, well, buy some more, I'll come find you when I'm done. Okay. Li Tang Tang, are you okay? If not, don't pretend to be. You doesn't even have a black card, so how could you possibly have one? You're not worthy of pretending to be rich in front of us. The two people across from them sneered. Li Tang Tang ignored them and listened as she took the card reader and entered the PIN. The next second. The charge was successful. Zhao Manjin? He Yuan? The two of them looked at each other. Now, you should kowtow to me. But it's only 50,000 yuan, who doesn't have that? I don't believe you have that much in your card. Zhao Manjin pointed to a 550,000 yuan dress next to her. I'll kowtow to you if you buy this dress. Li Tang Tang glanced at it, it was so ugly. That's why she chose the other one she liked. The deduction was successful, 780,000 yuan. In a good mood, Li Tang Tang chose a few more dresses and clothes. She felt that she shouldn't have done so. But seeing the surprised looks on Zhao Manjin and He Ye's faces, she felt good. It seemed as if she had become vicious. Why did she feel like this? In less than 10 minutes, Li Tang Tang had spent 3 million yuan. At this point, Zhao Manjin and He Ye were a little panicked. Where did Li Tang Tang get so much money? Come on, kowtow. Li Tang Tang looked at them with cold eyes. She had always been kind to others and never wanted to make enemies. But they? Time and time again they provoked her. Why should she swallow her anger? Li Tang Tang just felt that she was kind. But kind people who are bullied time and time again will fight back. Why should we kneel to you? Zhao Manjin was arrogant, and although she was a little guilty, she would never kneel to Li Tang Tang and kowtow to her. Yeah, let's go. Li Tong Tong knew they would do this. But this time, she would not let them off the hook. Zhao Manjin and He Ye were just about to leave when suddenly two black-clad bodyguards appeared and stopped them. Who are you? Get out of my way, and get lost quickly. Young mistress. The bodyguard ignored Zhao Manjin and He Yeye and called out respectfully to Li Tongtong. Li Tangtang nodded to the bodyguard. This was the bodyguard assigned to her by Lu Qiyu. At first, she didn't think she needed one, but now she really did. Li Tangtang, you brought them here, so you tell them to get out of my way. Zhao Manjin viciously turned back and ordered Li Tangtang. Li Tangtang handed the waitress the selected dress and said gently, "Please wrap this up for me." "Yes, miss." The waitress was delighted. She thought she should get a good commission this month. But she glanced at the group of people. It seemed that the atmosphere was not quite right. She better stay out of it. If it affected her, she would be in trouble. She didn't want to become part of the rich people's play. The waitress quickly ran to pack the clothes. "Li Tangtang, what do you mean by telling them to stop us?" "Yeah, Li Tangtang, don't think that just because you have a few stinking bucks you can act like a bully." Although Zhao Manjin and He Yeye had made a bet with Li Tangtang, they were used to breaking their promises, so how could they do something so humiliating as kowtowing? Not to mention that it was Li Tangtang on the other side. No way. It's simply impossible. Li Tongtong's gaze returned to the two of them. She spoke slowly. "Of course it's for you to fulfill what you just said." Zhao Manjin's face flushed. "Li Tangtang, what a big mouth, you want us to kowtow to you, it's impossible even if we die." Li Tangtang blinked innocently. At the slightest sign from her, the two bodyguards suddenly came over and pressed their heads down, making them kneel. "Just one kowtow is fine, but if you do too many, I'm afraid it will shorten your life." Chapter 12. There is only one way for me to accept your thanks. As soon as the words fell, the two bodyguards pressed down on the heads of the two women. Zhao Manjin and He Yeye screamed in horror. "What are you doing? Let go of me." They were girls, so how could they possibly struggle against the usually well-trained and strong bodyguards? Dong. The sound of a beautiful kowtow resounded. "Ah! Li Tangtang, I'm going to kill you." Zhao Manjin couldn't stand this humiliation and got up to hit Li Tangtang. The bodyguard quickly blocked Li Tongtong's way and also blocked Zhao Manjin's attack. No matter how angry they were, the two of them could not defeat the two bodyguards. They could not even touch Li Tangtang. Do you feel humiliated? Is this fun? Was this a very special experience? Li Tangtang spoke coldly. She was weak. But how could she let herself be bullied all the time? Today, she borrowed Lu Jiyu's strength to let them taste this humiliation too. Zhao Manjin and He Yeye glared at Li Tangtang. "Li Tangtang, you wait, I will make you pay for today's humiliation." The two laughed angrily. Li Tangtang watched them leave. Her body softened a little. Li Tangtang didn't know why she had just done that. This was the first time she had used a bully to intimidate others. However, she could not stand such nasty pranks from Zhao Manjin and He Yuanyue. If she backed down, she was afraid that they would only be more reckless with her in the future. Why should she? Why should she be bullied? Therefore, Li Tangtang did not want to tolerate it. Although she felt a little guilty, she still felt a little happy. "Miss, your clothes are packed." Li Tangtang was a little embarrassed as she carried the shopping bag. She had spent millions on pretentious things. How was she going to explain it to him later? Lu Jiyu had just finished reading the documents and was about to go find Li Tangtang when he sent him a video and some pictures. He explained what had happened. Lu Jiyu's lips curled up when he finished watching. He didn't think that the gentle, weak-willed little woman would not resist such a thing, but he was wrong. Lu Qiyu had grown up in a wealthy family with a clear social hierarchy, and no one dared say no to him. He got whatever he wanted. Therefore, he would never let himself be wronged. He also hoped that Li Tangtang would not let him be wronged. The woman he, Lu Qiyu, could do whatever she wanted. No matter what she did, he could protect her. Lu Qiyu got out of the car to go find Li Tangtang, while Li Tangtang looked at the clothes in her hands and felt a little remorseful. She was in trouble. Just because she was angry, she had spent millions on these clothes. Li Tangtang had never worn such nice clothes before. What if Lu Qiyu thought she was worshipping money? Just as Li Tangtang was struggling to explain to Lu Qiyu, she saw the man coming from afar. He was so good-looking. Everyone, both men and women, were looking at him as he walked along. Li Tongtong's heart was beating a little faster. What did you buy? The man came up to her at some point, and Li Tangtang, who had come back to her senses, answered a little embarrassed, I bought some dresses. They're really expensive. I spent a few million of your money. Why don't I return them? Zhao Manjin and the others have already left anyway. She had managed to put on an act just now. Lu Jiyu held her back. Why return them? Don't you like them? No. It's too expensive, it's not my spending level. She is spending Lu Jiyu's money. It's not expensive. Lu Jiyu lowered his eyes and looked at Li Tangtang. Tangtang, are you still not in character? Ha? Lu Jiyu smiled tenderly. You are my wife now. Oh, I know. Lu Jiyu, so, my money is your money. And, as I said, I'm very rich. Your husband is very rich, and he can support 100 of you with plenty to spare. So, don't worry about spending money. With me, I'm only afraid that you won't spend my money. With Lu Jiyu, being willing to spend his money is also a kind of affirmation. And, isn't a husband's money all for his wife to spend? Tangtang, I'm your husband, so don't be so formal with me, okay? Li Tangtang blushed, her heart pounding. It was obviously a shotgun wedding, but for some reason, she felt like Lu Jiyu seemed to like her quite a bit. Good. Seeing that Li Tangtang was so obedient, Lu Jiyu gave a hearty laugh. His little wife is really obedient. Do you want to buy anything else? Li Tangtang shook her head vigorously, no. She had already spent so much money, she felt bad buying anything else. Lu Jiyu took the shopping bag from her hand and carried it himself. Grandma said to bring you here to buy something. If I don't buy anything, Grandma will scold me, and Tangtang doesn't want Grandma to scold me, right? Li Tangtang couldn't say no to Lu Jiyu's gentle smile. Then, in the following time, Li Tangtang received several sets of jewelry and gold jewelry worth tens of millions of dollars. Envious voices came from the side. Miss, your husband is so good to you. If only my husband were as handsome and rich as him. You two are a perfect match, and your husband really loves you. Oh, I want a husband who is so handsome, so stylish, so charming, and so rich too. Dream on, you're daydreaming in broad daylight. Li Tangtang's earlobes unconsciously turned red from all the praise. If they knew that she and Lu Jiyu had a marriage of convenience and had no feelings for each other, they wouldn't be so envious. But why did she feel a little happy inside? Lu Jiyu followed Li Tangtang around, acting like a good husband. Listening to what other people were saying, and seeing Li Tangtang's shy expression, Lu Jiyu was in a good mood. Not a very good mood. A very good mood. Even he didn't expect that one day, their busy husband would deign to go shopping with a woman. And it was the woman he had married on the rebound. He even bought her a lot of clothes without batting an eyelid. It was magical. That's enough, we've bought too much today. Lu Jiyu, it's not much, just how much have we bought? We've spent almost 100 million yuan, isn't that a lot? In fact, Li Tangtang still doesn't know how rich the Lu family really is. Judging from the extravagance of Lu Jiyu's spending, it must be extraordinary. Li Tangtang feels a little inferior. Lu Jiyu has no idea what Li Tangtang is thinking. Whenever Li Tangtang looked at something, he had it wrapped up. Soon, the bodyguards behind them were carrying shopping bags in their hands. That's enough. Oh my. That's too much. She can't wear or use all these clothes and dresses. Seeing Li Tangtang's embarrassed expression, Lu Jiyu let out a sigh and bought just a little bit. Grandma shouldn't scold me. Just a little bit? Li Tangtang couldn't understand. Is this called a little bit? She didn't understand the world of the rich. Let's go back, we still have to go to the rental house to pack. Seeing that Li Tangtang was a little tired, and since she was pregnant, Lu Jiyu nodded and bent down to pick her up. He didn't give Li Tangtang any time to react, and she clung to his neck helplessly. It's too light, eat more in the future. The man's low and pleasant voice came from the corner of her ear, and Li Tangtang felt his body heat and became flustered. It seemed that Lu Jiyu was being too good to her. They just left the mall, and many people looked over along the way. Li Tangtang was embarrassed and buried her head. Finally, they arrived at the car, and Li Tangtang let out a sigh of relief, as there were finally not so many stairs. Thank you. She was used to saying thank you. Tangtang, there is only one way for me to accept your thank you. Chapter 13, She did something to betray herself? After this incident, it seemed that Li Tangtang had guessed what Lu Jiyu was going to do. She just raised her hand to cover her lips. But Lu Zhiyu's actions were faster than Li Tongtong's. He pressed Li Tongtong's hand and kissed her. Lu Zhiyu was very gentle. Little by little, he pried open Li Tongtong's lips. Li Tangtang was very nervous at first. Lu Zhiyu leaned against her lips and let out a light laugh. Tang, don't be nervous, open your mouth. Li Tongtong's face turned red beyond recognition. It was also during the moment when she lost her mind that Lu Zhiyu captured the city. The man panted slightly, clasped Li Tongtong's neck, and kissed her very passionately. Li Tangtang gradually relaxed from her initial surprise and discomfort. She didn't know why she had relaxed so quickly. Lu Zhiyu felt like he was going to burst into flames. He didn't dare continue. He was afraid of scaring Li Tangtang. His current actions had already made Li Tangtang a little nervous, so he took his time. Little by little, he soaked into the girl's heart. After Lu Zhiyu let go of Li Tangtang, her breasts rose and fell rapidly. She blushed and looked away from the window, afraid to look at Lu Zhiyu. Lu Zhiyu knew she was shy, and laughed lightly. Tang, we are husband and wife, and it is normal to do anything intimate, but it's okay if you're shy now, you'll get used to it after a while. Li Tangtang turned her face, pursed her lips, and in the future. Looking at the girl blankly, Lu Zhiyu pinched her face in a good mood. Of course, I told you, I didn't marry my wife to be a decoration. I really do consider you my wife. Tang, you have to accept this as soon as possible. He was very satisfied with Li Tangtang. He also hoped that Li Tangtang would be satisfied with him as her husband. Li Tangtang pursed her lips and didn't have the nerve to say anything. She turned her head. Her heart was in a mess. Yes. She was married. And pregnant. She had to accept it quickly. The two went to Li Tongtong's rented house first to collect their things. There wasn't really anything there. The Lu family had everything from Li Tongtong's rented house. After checking out, the two went back. Back at the Zieten Manor, Madame Lu was relieved to see that Lu Zhiyu has bought Li Tangtang a lot of things. Tang, if you need anything in the future, just tell your grandmother, okay? Li Tangtang, okay, grandma. And don't take a part-time job, either. The family has everything it needs. Madame Lu is worried that Li Tangtang still wants to take a part-time job. After all, she is pregnant and shouldn't work too hard. Li Tangtang actually still wants to take a part-time job. She wants to save some money. But when she looked at Madame Lu, she couldn't bring herself to refuse. At that moment, Lu Zhiyu said, I will give you 5 million yuan per month as living expenses in the future, as compensation for the hardships of being pregnant. Even if there is anything in the future, this money is all yours, and I give it to you voluntarily. He knew that Li Tangtang didn't feel secure. 5 million yuan? That's a lot. Is that how much it costs to be pregnant? Grandma Lu, yes, Tang, if you're worried, then just do as Lu Zhiyu says, okay? This money is for you, and no matter what happens in the future, we won't mention this money to you, okay? This should put an end to Li Tangtang's idea of working part-time, right? How could Li Tangtang refuse? With such good conditions, she of course agreed. Okay, Grandma. Seeing that Li Tangtang agreed, Grandma Lu let out a sigh of relief. Were you tired today? Li Tangtang shook her head. Come, have some food. Madame Lu took Li Tangtang to eat. She glanced at Li Tangtang's belly. Li Tangtang was too thin. If it weren't for the checkup, Madame Lu wouldn't believe that she was carrying her great-grandchild at the moment. Tang, you should eat more, you're too thin, didn't you eat properly at home before? Li Tangtang was stunned. It was true that she didn't get enough to eat at the Lees. Since her mother died, no one has cared about her. She doesn't even eat as much as the servants. Especially since the mother and daughter came to the Li family, her life has been miserable. When she noticed that Li Tangtang was depressed, Madame Lu realized that she had said the wrong thing. Li Tangtang really hasn't had an easy time in the Li family. Tang, I'm sorry, Grandma said the wrong thing. Li Tangtang, it's okay, Grandma, I'm used to it. I'm used to it. Those 3 words sound so heartbreaking. I really can't understand why Li Tangtang is so well-behaved and sensible. How could her father bear to treat her badly? Tang, don't think about sad things. Grandma will be your pillar of support from now on, and so will Lu Zhiyu, okay? Old Madame Lu truly considers Li Tangtang her granddaughter-in-law. Other powerful families may want to form alliances to make their families even stronger. But the Lu family is already very powerful, and they don't need any help. That's why they never forced Lu Qiyu to marry someone he didn't like. They just wanted him to get married. No matter who the other person was. As long as he liked them, that was fine. But Lu Qiyu was like a monk. He had no interest in women at all. I'm really impressed. Fortunately, he has now met Li Tangtang. Grandma Lu could tell that Lu Qiyu really liked Li Tangtang. She had never seen her grandson like this before. The way he looked at Li Tangtang was tender and soft, a look that even her own cousin rarely showed. Not to mention any other woman. Li Tangtang's eyes were red and puffy. It seemed that she had really found someone who truly cared about her. Grandma, thank you. When she saw Li Tangtang's small mouth flatten, Grandma Lu felt a pang of pain in her heart. All right, eat something and go rest. You're tired, aren't you? Li Tangtang nodded, and indeed being pregnant made her both hungry and sleepy. Lu Qiyu watched the two of them from the side, and suddenly felt that he should have married a daughter-in-law earlier. But then he thought again, if he had married earlier, it wouldn't have been Li Tangtang, so it didn't seem to work. Li Tangtang went to rest after eating. Old Madame Lu was very nice, and the Lu family servants also treated her with great respect, being very careful in everything they did, and Li Tangtang slowly began to get used to it. Lu Jiyu had just kissed Li Tangtang in the car, but he was afraid that she would be shy, so he didn't dare to approach her any further. After Li Tangtang went to sleep, he went to take care of his own business. For someone with a busy schedule like Lu Jiyu, things like going shopping basically never happened, especially going shopping with a woman. So when Lu Jiyu went shopping with Li Tangtang today, it almost scared he. After all, he had been by Lu Jiyu's side for so many years, and had never seen this scene before. Lu Jiyu went off to work, and Li Tangtang went off to get a good night's sleep. This way. After Zhao Manjin and He left, Zhao Manjin just couldn't swallow her anger. No, where did Li Tangtang get so much money? She just spent millions. Their monthly living expenses were only about 100,000 yuan. No, I'll call Ye and ask. Zhao Manjin called Li Ye. When Li Ye heard Zhao Manjin say that Li Tangtang had spent millions of dollars on clothes in the mall, she said in surprise, "Really, sister?" She has been arguing with her father recently, and her father has stopped her living expenses. We haven't seen her for a month. Manjin, where did you see her? How did sister have so much money? Could it be that she did something to betray herself? Chapter 14 I Got Married. As soon as Li Ye said those words in a fake surprised tone, Zhao Manjin immediately associated them with something else. Li Tangtang had already had her alimony stopped, so how could she have so much money? There was only one possibility. That was, Li Tangtang was being kept. Manjin, did Tangtang really spend millions on clothes? At this moment, Li Ye was getting her nails done. Her tone was gentle, but her gaze was cold. Li Tangtang spent millions on clothes? Where did she get all that money? She's been sending people to look for Li Tangtang for over a month now, but unfortunately that bitch is hiding really well, and none of her people can find her. And now Zhao Manjin is telling her that Li Tangtang has spent millions on clothes? Zhao Manjin, it's true, Ye and I saw it with our own eyes. She hid the fact that she'd made a bet with Li Tangtang. Li Tangtang must be being kept, otherwise where would she get all that money? Being kept? Li Ye's lips curled into a sneer. If she were being kept, she would have a way to bring Li Tangtang down. In that case, Li Tangtang's engagement. Really, is Tangtang really being kept? Zhao Manjin stamped her foot. Of course it's true, you guys didn't say you weren't going to give her living expenses. If she wasn't being kept, where would she get all that money? Li Ye, how could Tangtang do such a thing? I will definitely tell my father. Jinjin, you mustn't tell anyone else either, or else once everyone knows, Tangtang will be ruined. Public opinion can kill a person. Zhao Manjin didn't say anything after hearing this. Yes. Public opinion. Yeah, I have something to do, I have to hang up first. He Yuanyue said, is Li Tangtang really being supported? Whether she is being supported or not, we are sure that she is being supported. I can't swallow this today. Li Tangtang is such a bitch, I must give her back all the humiliation today. So what method do you plan to use? Zhao Manjin whispered a few words in He Ye's ear. He Ye frowned and said, but Li Tangtang is not at school now. But will this method really work? Li Tongtong's reputation is already bad. The two of them talked for a long time. Li Tangtang didn't know any of this. She was dreaming on her comfortable bed. She dreamed about Lu Jiu, about him coaxing her to be good, and about the scene of her and Lu Jiu doing that thing. Getting intimate. Good, shameful. Shameful enough to wake her from her dream. She patted her small breasts. What's going on? I dreamed about Lu Jiu again, and I also dreamed about what happened that night. Although Li Tangtang really hurt that night, the feeling was also very good. It's that kind of feeling that you want to refuse, but you can't stop. She covered her little face, it was so hot. Such a day passed for 2 days. The strange thing is that Li Tangtang didn't see Lu Jiu for these 2 days. Old Madame Lu said that he had gone on a business trip at the last minute. It was when Li Tangtang fell asleep the other day that he left in such a hurry that he didn't have time to tell Li Tangtang, and Lu Jiu asked old Madame Lu to tell her. Li Tangtang finally understood. She was a bit bored at home these 2 days. She was wondering if she should go back to school. After all, she had taken leave to come out. She planned to work part-time to save some money before going back to class. Just as she was thinking about this, the phone rang. As soon as she saw the caller ID, Li Tangtang picked up the phone quickly. Su. Tangtang, what are you doing, working part-time? As soon as Li Tangtang picked up the phone, Ji Suer immediately asked. After all, Li Tangtang was either working part-time or on her way to work part-time. No, why? What else? I'm just concerned about you. Li Tangtang, you're so inconsiderate. Every time you ask for leave, it's like you've vanished from the face of the earth. You don't answer your phone and you don't reply to messages. Li Tangtang felt embarrassed and touched her nose. I'm sorry, I've been really busy lately. Let's not talk about work. It's been a while since we last met. I just got back from a trip with my parents and I've got a present for you. Are you free today? Can we have dinner together? Li Tangtang thought about it for a moment. She really didn't have anything planned at the moment. Okay, I'll send you the address. After hanging up the phone, Li Tangtang went to ask Madame Lu if she was going out to meet friends. After all, she was now pregnant with someone else's child, eating and using their things, and she had to report where she was going. Go ahead, have fun. Do you want Grandma to arrange it for you? No need, Grandma. Okay, then you go. How about this, let the driver take you, okay? Li Tangtang nodded in agreement. The place where they lived was a villa area halfway up the mountainside, and there were no cars to hail or buses to take, so that was the only option. After tidying up, Li Tangtang left the house. Soon, she arrived at the restaurant that Ji Suer had mentioned. Ji Suer was sitting by the glass window, messaging Li Tangtang, Tangtang, have you arrived yet? I've arrived. I'm getting ready to get off the car at the door. Ji Suer looked out the door when she saw the message and saw Li Tangtang getting out of a luxury car not far away. Afraid that she had made a mistake, Ji Suer rubbed her eyes and looked again. She was sure she hadn't made a mistake. It really was Li Tangtang. What was going on? After a while, Li Tangtang came in. As soon as she came in, she saw Ji Suer, but she always felt that Ji Suer's look at her was a bit strange. So, what are you looking at? Ji Suer quickly pulled Li Tangtang over to sit next to her and asked, Tangtang, what kind of car did you take to get here? Li Tangtang was a little confused and didn't know. Sis, that's a Bentley. Are you making a lot of money working part-time? Li Tangtang? No, Suer, what are you talking about? You just came here in a luxury car worth millions. Don't you know? Li Tangtang. It's just a car. And the clothes you're wearing. Ji Suer thought hard for a moment. Isn't this the brand of the famous F-country designer Carl? His clothes are so expensive, each one can sell for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. Is that so? Li Tangtang glanced at the simple and unadorned clothes she was wearing. These were all prepared for her by Madame Lu and Lu Jiu. She had no idea how expensive they were. She wore this outfit today because she just thought it was quite simple. She never imagined it was so expensive. But how am I going to tell Ji Suer? Ji Suer felt the material, which didn't feel fake. She looked up at Li Tangtang and said, Tangtang, did you win the lottery and become rich? Li Tangtang couldn't help but laugh. What kind of train of thought was Ji Suer thinking? If you become rich, take me with you, you said it yourself, you'll support me if you become rich. Li Tangtang laughed and said, how could I possibly get rich? So, what are you daydreaming about? Then you are riding in a luxury car and wearing such expensive clothes, and I can see that they are not fake, so I find it hard to believe that you are not rich. Li Tangtang thought about it and decided not to hide it after all. After all, Ji Suer is her good friend. She hesitated for a moment and said, So, I got married. Chapter 15, he is the richest man in the capital. Married? Ji Suer obviously didn't believe it. You got married after I went on a trip? Ji Suer took a bite of the small cake. You don't even have a boyfriend, how can you get married? Tang, that's not a funny joke. The two of them were inseparable whenever they were together at school, and if Li Tang was in a relationship, Ji Suer would definitely be the first to know. Really, not only did I get married, I'm also pregnant. Ji Suer was taken aback. Li Tang, I'm warning you, don't ever pull a joke like that on me. Li Tang blinked innocently, do you think I'm the kind of person who would pull a joke like that? Seeing that Li Tang really didn't look like someone who would joke around, Ji Suer froze. Really? You're really married? You're really pregnant? Li Tang nodded seriously, really? Holy shit. Li Tang, what the hell are you doing? Ji Suer stared in shock. I've only been gone for less than 2 months, and you're getting married and pregnant. You're moving at rocket speed. And who are you dating and getting married to, that I don't know about? When I was at school, we were together every day, and you were gone for only 2 months, and you got married and pregnant? Ji Suer was so shocked that he almost started pulling his hair out. Tang, you have to tell me that this isn't true. Li Tang asked Ji Suer to calm down. Really, Susie, don't be so surprised. How could I not be surprised? Ji Suer couldn't understand how these two things could have happened so quickly and suddenly. Tang, you tell me, is something going on? She and Li Tang were good friends, and Li Tang had her own ambitions and dreams. Logically, she wouldn't get married so early. And it was even less likely that she would suddenly become pregnant and have a child. Since she had no intention of hiding it, Li Tang told Ji Suer the whole story. After listening, Ji Suer trembled with anger. What an asshole! How could you have such an asshole for a family member? Are you even your father's daughter, letting you marry an old man? I really doubt you're even his biological child. But with a stepmother comes a stepfather. However, this incident cannot be blamed on Li Yeye. At the time, Li Tang heard Li Yeye's name while running away. Li Yeye has never gotten along with her, and while she pretends to be close with her outside, she has been secretly setting up traps for her. It's that Li Yeye again, she's really vicious. Ji Suer is close with Li Tang, so naturally she knows some of the situation in her family. This Li Yeye is the illegitimate daughter of Li Tongtong's father. After returning to the Li family, she has been picking on Li Tang in every way. If Li Tang is so unhappy now, Li Yeye is largely to blame. Ji Suer is really angry for Li Tang. So you're pregnant with the man from the other night, and he's the one you married? Li Tang nodded, well, we had a quickie marriage. How dare you? What if he's a bad guy? Now Li Tang also couldn't figure out how she had agreed to marry Lu Jiyu at the time. She clearly didn't understand, and she had decided to get married just because of a few words from Madame Lu. It was a bit hasty. But to say he's a bad guy. Lu Jiyu doesn't seem bad. And he's been pretty good to her. At that time, I didn't think about it so much. Grandma Lu was very kind to me, and she even said that as long as I was willing to give birth to this child, I wouldn't have to worry about living expenses or tuition fees in the future. They would support me in painting and open a studio for me. These conditions were enough to make Li Tang moved. She used to be unable to eat enough and wear warm clothes, and now she is also at risk of not being able to go to school to continue her studies. But the conditions offered by the Lu family can solve all her current difficulties. It also gives her hope for the future. He's offering to open an art studio for her. I see. Ji Suer understood a little. So the man you married also agreed to the marriage of convenience? He just so easily agreed to get a marriage license with you? In fact, Li Tang had also thought about this. Why did Lu Jiyu just so easily agree to marry her? She still couldn't figure it out. I don't understand either, but he agreed. Ji Suer, okay, as long as the family is good to you. She's just afraid that if Li Tang is so kind, what if she gets bullied in the future? The thing she fears most is that the family will use Li Tang as a tool for procreation. Don't worry, I'm doing well so far, they treat me very well. Jisoo, I know, but you can't be too stupid, Tang Tang. It's not that I'm suspicious, but I still have to warn you. I'm afraid that they'll kick you out after you give birth. Don't trust them too much. Their family should be quite wealthy, right? You can ask them for 10,000 yuan a month for living expenses, and slowly save up some money, so that if anything happens in the future, you won't be left with no way out. Although the Lee family is wealthy, they don't spend it on Lee Tang Tang. Lee Tang Tang can go to school and stay alive because she works part-time to support herself. That's why Jisoo tells Lee Tang Tang to save some money. They give me living expenses. Jisoo, how much do they give you? 1,000 yuan is too little. Lee Tang Tang, 5 million yuan, that should be quite a lot, right? What? Jisoo thinks he heard it wrong. Give you 5 million yuan after you give birth? Lee Tang Tang, no, 5 million yuan a month. Jisoo. I pinched myself hard. 5 million. Lee Tang Tang, you're not joking with me, are you sure it's not 50,000 or 500,000, but 5 million? Really, why would I lie to you? Lee Tang Tang, Grandma Lu also gave me a black card. She took out the black card and showed it to Jisoo. Jisoo had never seen a real black card before, but the one in his hands looked extraordinary. This card has no limit, the kind you can swipe casually? Not everyone can afford a black card. Jisoo was a little curious now. Who is the man you married, so rich? 5 million a month for living expenses. And a black card. How many people in the capital can afford that? You shouldn't know. You really, tell me, let me see if I know. Lee Tang Tang said, Lu family, mainland Lu, my nominal husband is called Lu Chiyu. Lu Chiyu? That name sounds familiar. And the Lu family. The richest man in the capital is surnamed Lu. But Lee Tang Tang couldn't possibly be married to that Lu family, could she? But Lu Chiyu. Lu Chiyu. No. Jisoo quickly took out her phone and typed in the 3 characters Lu Chiyu. Is this the name of your husband in the flash marriage? Lee Tang Tang glanced at it and said, yes. SSSHH. Jisoo pinched her own chin again. Is it really Lu Chiyu? Lee Tang Tang felt that Jisoo was acting strangely. It was just a name, why was he so excited? Yes, his name was Lu Chiyu, a very common name, so what? Jisoo looked at Lee Tang Tang, who had a blank expression, and was really convinced. Do you know who he is? I didn't know before, but now he's my husband. Jisoo. She said word by word. He, your husband, Lu Chiyu. He is the richest man in the capital. Chapter 16. I really want Tang Tang. To fall for Lee Tang Tang was surprised. Lu Chiyu is the richest man in the capital? Jisoo, you don't know? Lee Tang Tang, I don't know. She hasn't checked Lu Chiyu. She just knows that the Lu family is quite wealthy. Susu, you've mistaken someone, haven't you? How could she marry the richest man in the capital? This is very unrealistic. After thinking about it, Jisoo felt that it was not impossible. She opened Baidu and entered Lu Chiyu's name. Soon, some information about Lu Chiyu popped up. But although there was information, there was no positive picture of Lu Chiyu. There were only a few pictures of his profile. It looked like it was taken secretly. Without a positive face, Tang Tang, take a look, can you recognize him from the profile? Lee Tang Tang took the phone. Although it was a very blurry profile photo, she immediately recognized it as Lu Chiyu. He is so imposing and superior. Just one profile photo shows his noble temperament. Is it him? Lee Tang Tang, it seems, it really is him. Shit. Jisoo has already cursed several times today. It's all because of the shock brought on by Lee Tang Tang. She couldn't believe it, so she ordered the rest of the photos. It was him. Jisoo, it's confirmed, you married that super rich, invincible rich Lu Chiyu. Ah, Lee Tang Tang, you married Lu Chiyu. My sister, you're so accomplished. Facing Jisoo's madness, Lee Tang Tang looked unusually calm. Calm to the point where it made people think she was stupid. Lee Tang Tang really is stupid. She didn't expect to marry the richest man in the capital in such a flash marriage. No. Why did the richest man in the capital agree to marry her? What woman doesn't he want? Even if he wanted a nominal wife, there are many women lining up to marry him. But for some reason, Lu Jiyu really married her. Lai Tangtang was blown away by the news. No wonder he can give you 5 million a month to live on. This is truly a generous offer. Susu, pinch me, this isn't a dream, is it? Ji Suer pinched Li Tangtang without any hesitation, and the slight tingling sensation made Li Tangtang feel the reality. Very real, isn't it? Ji Suer, I said you're riding in a luxury car again, and the clothes on your back are so expensive. Now you understand, isn't this simple and easy for the richest Lu family? Li Tangtang, you've struck it rich, you've won the lottery. With 5 million yuan a month to spend, you'll be a little rich girl from now on, a little rich girl, I'll support you. Li Tangtang, support me. Ji Suer excitedly hugged Li Tangtang and swayed her, I love you the most, baby. Don't sway, I'm pregnant. Ji Suer let go as quickly as she had been electrocuted. Right. She hadn't remembered that Li Tangtang was pregnant at the moment. Is there really a baby here? Li Tangtang, of course it's real. She spent money to go to the hospital for a checkup, and Lu Jiyu also asked the doctor to check her, so there's no mistake. That's amazing. Tang Tang, can I feel your stomach? Li Tangtang, what's there to feel? There's no change at all right now. If it weren't for the slight reaction, sometimes I don't even remember that I'm pregnant. Ji Suer, getting pregnant overnight, Lu Jiyu is a bit amazing. But Tang Tang, tell me in secret, when you had sex with Lu Jiyu, was the experience great? At this moment, Li Tangtang and Ji Suer did not know that they were sitting next to the back seat. The protagonist they were chatting with was sitting right there. Lu Jiyu. He sat down opposite Lu Jiyu. They had just returned to the country to find somewhere to eat, and unexpectedly ran into the young wife's gathering with her friends. And they heard her friend ask such a sensitive and embarrassing question. He didn't dare to look at the expression on her husband's face. But it seemed that her husband was listening intently. Is he planning to eavesdrop? He didn't dare to speak. Li Tongtong's cheeks were burning. What are you asking? He asked with a serious expression. Li Tangtang, I was drunk that day, I'm not sure. Ji Suer, that's a pity. That said, is Lu Jiyu really as terrifying as the rumors say, with 3 heads and 6 arms, capable of scaring people to death when he gets angry, and killing people with just a flick of his fingers? Susu, are you sure you're not telling a horror story? What do you mean, 3 heads and 6 arms? How can you say something like that? No, that's what everyone says. My dad also says that Lu Jiyu is a very fierce person, hard to get close to, and has a bad temper. No, I think he's quite nice, not like you say. Anyway, Li Tangtang thinks Lu Jiyu is quite gentle. Could it be that the rumors are wrong? Li Tangtang nodded, it must be that the rumors are wrong. It seems that Lu Jiyu is quite nice to you, and you have quite a high opinion of him. Ji Suer, Tang Tang, when are you free to introduce me to your husband? I want to meet the real person. This is the richest man in the capital. Well, but Lu Jiyu and I had a shotgun wedding, and there was no feeling between us. Tang Tang. Suddenly, a gentle, low voice came from nowhere. Li Tangtang and Ji Suer turned to look, and saw a handsome man standing next to them, looking at Li Tangtang with tenderness. Lu Jiyu. You? Li Tangtang didn't expect to run into Lu Jiyu here and couldn't react immediately. Lu Jiyu walked up to her, intimately wrapped his arms around her waist, and looked at her with tender, indulgent eyes. I've only been gone for 2 days, and you don't recognize your own husband? Ji Suer. Is this Lu Jiyu? So handsome. So gentle. Not at all like her father said he was. Isn't this a rumor? Li Tangtang was stunned, and Lu Jiyu laughed lightly. Tang Tang, don't you want to introduce us? She reacted, and this is my good friend, Ji Suer, Suer. Lu Jiyu looked at Ji Suer and said, hello, I am Tong Tong's husband. Oops. Tong Tong's husband. Ji Suer stumbled. She said carefully, hello, I am Ji Suer. Tang Tang and I are very, very good friends. Tong Tong's friends are also my friends. Ji Suer's inner thoughts, she's now friends with the richest and most powerful man? It's so surreal. Li Tangtang didn't know what Ji Suer was so excited about. She was a little nervous and uncomfortable now, because Lu Jiyu was holding her waist very tightly, and the two were close together, with the heat from each other constantly being transmitted, making her a little flustered. Tang Tang, is it okay if I sit with you guys? I just got off the plane and I'm a little hungry. Of course Li Tang Tang had no way to refuse. Lu Jiyu sat next to Li Tang Tang. And Ji Suer, who was now in a state of eating candy and melons, sat opposite the two of them quite consciously. After ordering, Lu Jiyu glanced at Li Tang Tang. Have you not been eating properly these past 2 days? You've lost some weight. Did Tang Tang miss me while I was gone these past 2 days? I really miss Tang Tang. Chapter 17. That night, I had a good feeling. The man's words came out. Li Tang Tang looked at him stiffly. What was he saying? He said he wanted to be alone? Damn it. My heart was pounding again. Ha? It seemed like he hadn't gotten a response for a long time, and Lu Qiyu issued a puzzled sound. Li Tang Tang. How was she going to answer? It wasn't good to say she didn't want to. And if she said she did, it didn't seem like she really wanted to. Luckily, the waiter came at this time with the food. Li Tang Tang quickly said, Aren't you hungry? Eat quickly. Seeing the girl's panic look, a smile flashed in Lu Jiyu's eyes. He didn't ask again after all. Well, I am hungry indeed. He gracefully began to eat. Li Tang Tang secretly let out a sigh of relief. If Lu Jiyu had pressed on, she really didn't know how to answer. Only Ji Suer was beside himself with excitement. His gossipy eyes kept fixed on Li Tang Tang and Lu Jiyu. But the other party was the biggest of the big guys, and although Ji Suer was gossipy, he didn't dare say anything. The three were silent. Li Tang Tang didn't know what to say. Ji Suer didn't dare say anything. After a while, Lu Jiyu finished eating. Do you want to keep shopping, Tang Tang? If not, let's go home together. Li Tang Tang immediately said, I just met Su Su, and there's still a lot I want to say, so you go home first. Lu Qiyu didn't refuse, okay, I'll go home first. Go back quickly. She felt quite uncomfortable with him here. They hadn't seen each other for 2 days, and she wanted some sweetness. Lu Qiyu kissed the corner of Li Tangtang's lips, and said, that's sweet. Li Tang Tang. Kissing her again. She blushed. Lu Qiyu got up to leave, but before he did, he suddenly looked at Li Tang Tang and said, I had a very good experience that night. I still can't stop thinking about it. What? What the hell? Did Lu Qiyu hear what they just said? Li Tang Tang was about to blush and explain, but Lu Qiyu didn't give her the chance. He said to Ji Suer, Ms. Ji, come and visit Tang Tang whenever you have time. Ji Suer nodded blankly. After the man left, Li Tang Tang buried her head under the table. So, it's over, he heard it. Oh. So embarrassing. Ji Suer's eyes lit up. Tang Tang, Lu Qiyu is so handsome, my goodness, how could a man of this quality possibly give you a bad experience, broad shoulders and a narrow waist, that smile he just gave you, it made me so sweet with affection. Li Tang Tang didn't know what Ji Suer was talking about. Suer, I have no feelings for Lu Qiyu. Ji Suer didn't believe it. If there were no feelings, he would not have called you Tang Tang so tenderly, and told you that he missed you while he was away, and kissed you. If it weren't for the fact that you really look like you're not lying, I really think you've been dating for a while. What's that got to do with anything? There's no such thing. We really don't have feelings for each other. Ji Suer, okay, then you don't have feelings for Lu Jiyu, do you? I saw the way he looked at you, like a man looks at a woman. Tang Tang, does Lu Jiyu like you, that's why he's so nice to you and willing to marry you? No way. I've never met him before that night. Susie, don't just make things up in your head. Ji Suer didn't think she was making things up. Although she had never been in love before, she did have someone she liked. She knew what it was like to like someone. His gaze would always follow her. It was gentle. She felt that this was how Lu Jiyu looked at Li Tang Tang. But Li Tang Tang felt that it was impossible. It was not possible at all. Lu Jiyu was treating her well because she was pregnant. Susu, don't forget, I'm pregnant with his child, and he is treating me well because of the child. This was not impossible either. But Ji Suer still preferred the possibility she had guessed. Forget it. Li Tang Tang is not likely to admit it either. Perhaps, it's not time yet. The two of them chatted for a while, and then, without knowing what had come to her mind, Ji Suer said, Tang Tang, you got married so suddenly and are pregnant again, does Guyan know? Hearing this name out of the blue, Li Tangtang felt a stab of pain in her heart. We're not in touch anymore. Ji Suer, but you had an engagement. Li Tangtang, it's no longer valid. Seeing that Li Tangtang was a little down, Ji Suer didn't say anything. She touched Li Tangtang's belly and said, Tangtang, when the baby is born, I want to be its godmother. Li Tangtang smiled and said, you can be. It's amazing that you're pregnant. Li Tangtang, I also feel amazing that I'm carrying a life. The two of them chatted with each other, laughing. Not far away. Lu Jiu, who had originally said he was going home, had not left yet. He looked at the girl in the restaurant through the car window. She was smiling happily, and before he knew it, Lu Jiu felt happy too. He was simply amazed. Her husband had never been like this before. Have you ever been in love? Yes. How does it feel to be in love? He thought about it for a while. It was quite beautiful. You would think about her and miss her, and do fun things with her. But it would also be very painful if you broke up. You broke up? Whom? Why? Maybe it was because I spent too little time with her. He didn't dare say that he was too busy and his girlfriend couldn't stand it and ran away. But there was nothing he could do. After all, his employer was Lu Jiu. Not everyone can be his assistant. He is in his current position because he is paid 1,000 times more than others. And Lu Jiu has also given him 1,000 times more in return. Lu Jiu has never been in love. He feels that the current progress is too slow. Every time the little girl sees him, she still dares not look him in the eye. The little girl blushes whenever he says a few words. Lu Jiu is not sure how to make Li Tangtang pay attention to him. If I want to woo a girl, what should I do? Is it the young mistress? Lu Jiu gave him a look. He didn't know how to answer. Sir, I don't have any experience in this area either. Didn't you fall in love? It was always the girls chasing me. Although, he did not actively pursue girls. So he didn't really know. Lu Jiu. Sir, I think Luo has a lot of experience. If you want to woo his wife, I think you can ask him. After all, Luo Shichu has had a lot of romantic experiences. He is quite experienced. Lu Qiyu thought about it for a while. It is indeed possible to ask. As soon as the person was mentioned, Luo Shichu called. Lu brother, you should have returned to the capital today, right? Lu Qiyu, what's the matter? Nothing, I'm asking you to come over and hang out, are you coming? Luoxichu, do you have anything to do other than play all day? Luoxichu, yes, picking up girls. Chapter 18 Luo Qiyu, do you hurt? Lu Qiyu no longer wanted to talk to Luoxichu. He had been a rascal since childhood. He never took anything seriously. But sometimes he envied Luoxichu. At least, he could do whatever he wanted. Come on, Luo Gu. I just got back, I'm tired. Luoxichu, you're indestructible, how can you feel tired? Since childhood, Lu Jiu has always been the best. No matter what he does it perfectly. He never gets tired. He's always full of energy. I'm not single anymore, I have to stay home with my wife, I'm busy. Luoxichu? What did he hear? Wife? Luo Shichu was a little agitated. Lu Gu, did I hear it wrong or did you say it with your mouth? Luo Shichu. A faint warning made Luo Shichu shut up. For a long time, Lu Gu, do you really have a wife? I'm not talking to you anymore. Lu Qiyu hung up the phone. He asked, Sir, back to Zitong Manor or to the company? Company. See? As an assistant to a workaholic, he has no time for relationships. The car slowly pulled away. Li Tangtang and Ji Suer also went for a stroll. However, considering that Li Tangtang was now pregnant, Ji Suer did not dare let her stroll for too long, for fear of tiring her out. In the evening, Li Tangtang returned home. When Madame Lu saw Li Tangtang return, she smiled and asked, Tangtang is back, how was your day? Were you happy to meet your friends? As soon as she returned, she saw that the gloom on Tangtang's face had dispersed. Indeed, people still need good friends. Grandma, I had a really good time today. Tangtang came over with a small bag and said to her grandmother, Grandma, this is a present for you, I hope you like it. Grandma Lu couldn't stop smiling. Tang Tang is still a good girl. She opened it and saw that it was a silk scarf with a very nice texture. It was also the style that Grandma Lu liked. Tang Tang really thought of everything. Li Tang Tang was actually a little embarrassed. Although she had given the gift, it was at the expense of the Lu family. The two of them chatted for a while before the old lady said, "Tang Tang, has Lu Qiyu contacted you in the past 2 days?" The old lady actually wanted the two of them to spend more time together so that they could develop feelings for each other. "No, but I saw him today." The old lady, he's back? Li Tang Tang didn't quite understand. Lu Qiyu had said that he was going home to rest, so hadn't he come back? No. That brat. Madame Lu called Lu Qiyu and said as she dialed, "That brat, he didn't even say he was going back to the capital. I guess he's busy at the office." When he gets busy, he loses all sense of proportion. Tang Tang, you don't know that once he worked on a project for 3 days and 3 nights without eating or sleeping, and he got a stomachache straight away. He's still not fully recovered. Her grandson is good in every way. He works hard. But sometimes he is just too serious. So serious that he doesn't take care of his own health. Li Tang Tang was a little shocked to hear this. How can someone go 3 days without eating or sleeping? Is he a god? Although Madame Lu often argues with Lu Qiyu, she really cares about her grandson. She wanted to call Lu Qiyu and tell him not to be so busy with work that he forgets to eat, but he didn't answer the phone. So she had to call He. As soon as she got through, before she could say anything, He said, "Madam, your husband is in the hospital." What? Why is Lu Qiyu in the hospital? Madame Lu was extremely worried. Her husband had been working too hard in socializing the past 2 days, and had not eaten properly. Now he had suddenly suffered from stomach bleeding and was in the hospital. Stomach bleeding? Old Madame Lu was shocked. Which hospital are you in? Tang Tang and I will go there now. After He reported the hospital, old Madame Lu took Li Tang Tang by the hand and said, "Tang Tang, Xiaoyu is in the hospital with stomach bleeding. You and I will go and take a look." Seeing old Madame Lu's anxious expression, Li Tang Tang reassured her, "Grandma, don't worry, we'll go and take a look together. Lu Qiyu will be fine." The two hurried to the hospital. At this time, the host was lying in a hospital bed in a hospital gown. His face was a little pale. But it was okay. His good friend Jiang Zidu glanced at him and laughed. "Lao Lu, you are the only one who is so capable that you can work yourself into stomach bleeding. Lu Qiyu, I have to make money to support my family." Jiang Zidu seemed to have heard a bad joke. Even if you do nothing, the Lu family business can easily support the family for many lifetimes. But Lu Qiyu has been a workaholic since taking over the Lu family. "I'm not like you, a lonely man. I have to fight for the future of my wife and my children." You don't understand. Jiang Zidu, don't make me laugh. Lu Qiyu looked at him coolly, "Teasing you?" Jiang Zidu said ruthlessly, "You have been a cold-faced devil since you were young. How many girls liked you, but you could scare people into crying with just a glance? Which girl would be so bold as to dare marry you? Unless she doesn't want to live anymore." Lu Qiyu thought deeply, "Am I that scary?" "You are." Lu Qiyu didn't think there was anything wrong with him. He doesn't like those girls, so why would he look nice at them? But does Li Tang Tang dislike him because he is so fierce? Then I will be gentler to my wife next time. Jiang Zidu looks at Lu Qiyu with confusion. "Old Lu, you only have stomach bleeding, not a problem with your brain. Where did you get a wife from? Has stomach bleeding risen to the level of a brain problem? Single dog, I don't want to talk to you." Jiang Zidu? Him? Single dog? Who's been the dog all these years? He came in after finishing the phone call. "Sir, I've informed your mother-in-law." No, you told Grandma Lu about your stomach bleeding? Is there a problem?" "Of course there's a problem. A big problem. Lu Qiyu always carries everything himself. He has been working too hard for many years, suffering from hypoglycemia and gastritis, but he never once told his family. Now that he has a serious illness like bleeding in the stomach, he even told Madame Lu. It's unbelievable. He has been scheduled for surgery recently, and he hasn't been able to get together with Lu Qiyu and the others for a long time, but how could he change so much in such a short time?" Jiang Zidu can't figure it out. "Old Lu, you've changed." But why he changed, he didn't know either. Lu Qiyu didn't want to talk, so he just went about his business. Jiang Zidu. Okay. He had a lot on his plate. Just as he left the ward, Lu Qiyu asked He if she knew. He naturally knew that Lu Qiyu was asking if Li Tangtang knew. The reason for calling Madame Lu was to let Li Tangtang know as well. Sir, don't worry, I've already asked. The old lady and the young lady are on their way. Lu Qiyu put the back of his hand behind his head and nodded. Not long after, the old lady arrived and scolded anxiously, Lu Qiyu, I told you to eat properly and not drink too much, and look, you've got stomach bleeding. Are you going to make me worry to death? Lu Qiyu, Grandma, I'm fine. After he said that, he looked over at Li Tangtang, who was standing nearby. Li Tangtang saw this and whispered, Lu Qiyu, do you hurt? Chapter 19, Do I Not Care About My Face? It seemed that Lu Qiyu was weakened by Li Tangtang's question. It hurts. Seeing him like this, Madame Lu was both angry and distressed. What hurts? Irregular diet and drinking, who wouldn't have stomach bleeding if you did? Look at you, who would care about you like this? Lu Qiyu, I have a wife, my wife will care about me, right, Tang Tang? Li Tangtang was taken aback. He obviously didn't know how to answer. Lu Qiyu made a sad face and said, Tang Tang, don't you care about me? My heart cares. Hearing this answer, Lu Qiyu smiled contentedly. Madame Lu. It's just that Tang Tang cares about you. It's enough to have Tang Tang care. The two of them spoke alternately, and Li Tangtang felt embarrassed on the sidelines. What did the doctor say? He told me to rest for a few days. The three of them were chatting in the hospital room when Jiang Zidu walked in and said, Old Lu, you didn't want to be hospitalized, so I'll give you. Suddenly, he stopped. Lu Qiyu gave him a cool look. Jiang Zidu? What did he do? Jiang, you're on duty tonight. Jiang Zidu then saw Madame Lu and the girl next to her. Yes, Grandma Lu, you're here. How could I not come over? Look at this brat, he's a real worry. The only people who refer to Lu Qiyu as a brat are this old lady and his mother. Who is this? Jiang Zidu had never seen Li Tangtang before, so she looked very unfamiliar. Old Madame Lu immediately said with a smile, Come, Jiang, let me introduce you. This is my wife, Li Tangtang. Before old Madame Lu could finish her sentence, Lu Qiyu interrupted. Wife? Jiang Zidu was taken aback. Really? He stretched out the word really. He obviously didn't believe it. Madame Lu, what do you mean really? Tang Tang is now Lu Qiyu's wife, our Lu family's daughter-in-law. Jiang Zidu was really stunned at this point. Since Madame Lu had said so, the identity of the girl in front of him must be true. So just now Lu Qiyu wasn't joking with him? He really has a family? So I'm the one who's single? No, what kind of girl would make Lu Qiyu, who has always shunned women, willing to marry her? Jiang Zidu couldn't help but size up Li Tangtang. The girl in front of him was indeed very pretty, with bright eyes and white teeth. Her eyes were pure and innocent, obedient and soft, and she looked harmless. Moreover, she seemed quite young. So Lu Qiyu liked this type, he liked older men dating younger women. No wonder. Over the years, he has passed up so many beautiful women. Jiang Zidu, what are you looking at? Jiang Zidu turned around and smiled lightly. No, I was just admiring how pretty your sister-in-law is. Afterwards, he reached out to Li Tangtang and said, Hello, I'm Jiang Zidu, a friend of Lu Qiyu's. Li Tangtang obediently reached out and said, My name is Li Tangtang. Knowing that Lu Qiyu was very possessive, Jiang Zidu shook hands with Li Tangtang and immediately separated. He glanced at Lu Qiyu and said, I didn't expect you to actually get married. Of course, why would I lie to you? Tang Tang, come here. Lu Qiyu told Li Tangtang to come over, and Li Tangtang obediently approached. Lu Qiyu told her to sit next to his bed. We're not only married, we also have a child. Remember to get the red envelope money ready. Jiang Zidu frowned, a child? Madame Lu beamed, Tang Tang is pregnant. Jiang Zidu. He gave Lu Qiyu a thumbs up. Awesome. Really awesome. Lu Qiyu cocked his lip in satisfaction. Li Tangtang had never seen Lu Qiyu like this before. Is he so satisfied with his marriage and her who appeared halfway through? Madame Lu and Jiang Zidu discussed Lu Jiyu's condition. Li Tangtang's hand was still being held by Lu Jiyu, and she tried to pull it away, but Lu Jiyu held it even tighter. Tang Tang, it hurts, let me hold your hand, okay? He asked very gently. Li Tongtong's heart fluttered, and she said, okay. Jiang Zidu, who had been paying close attention to the two of them, almost lost his face when he heard Lu Jiyu's gentle tone. Is this still the same cold-faced Lu Jiyu? Is this still the same Lu Jiyu who can freeze them to death with a glance? Jiang Zidu suddenly got goosebumps. I wonder if anyone who sees Lu Jiyu like this will survive until tomorrow. He won't be silenced by Lu Jiyu, will he? Lu Jiyu was in no mood to pay attention to Jiang Zidu right now, and was happily holding the girl's hand. His little hand is really soft. I really want to hold it forever. Li Tangtang was a little embarrassed. Lu Jiyu, shall I pour you some water? Lu Jiyu knew that the little girl was shy, so he let go of her hand. While she was doing that, Lu Jiyu sent a message to Jiang Zidu. Just after talking to Madame Lu, Jiang Zidu saw the message on his phone. He glanced at Lu Jiyu, and the man's eyes were faintly colored. Jiang Zidu inwardly, dog man. Grandma, don't worry, I will take care of Ayu's illness, but he is quite serious this time and needs to be hospitalized for a few days. That's fine, he should be hospitalized for a few days, otherwise he won't know how to take care of his body. Jiang Zidu, well, in the next 2 days, Ayu needs to eat something mild, like kanji. No problem, we can prepare it at home. Jiang Zidu continued to output, saying that his illness requires someone to keep him company, and if he is in a good mood, he will recover faster. I think if your wife is fine, she can come and keep Ayu company. Grandma Lu seemed to understand what Jiang Zidu meant. She glanced at her grandson, who had his eyes on Li Tangtang, and she instantly understood. She was afraid that her grandson wasn't attracted to Li Tangtang. But now it's fine. Their eyes are glued to each other. On the contrary, the girl doesn't even look at him. I understand. Jiang Zidu still had to attend to other patients, and soon, there were only 3 people left in the ward. Grandma Lu took Li Tongtong's hand and said, Tang Tang, just now, Xiao Jiang said that Lu Jiyu needs someone to take care of him these few days, and Grandma has been feeling a bit dizzy these past 2 days. Can you come and keep Lu Jiyu company? Li Tangtang pursed her lips. It wasn't that she couldn't take care of Lu Jiyu. The main thing was that it would be quite awkward for the two of them to be together. She wasn't used to being with Lu Jiyu yet. Is that okay, Tang Tang? Lu Jiyu also looked at her, as if he would be very sad if Li Tangtang didn't agree. Grandma, it's okay. Grandma Lu smiled and said, don't worry, you're pregnant, so you can't work too hard. Just come here every day to see if he takes his medicine and eats properly. If he doesn't listen, just tell Grandma and she'll give him a good beating with a stick. Upon hearing this, Li Tangtang laughed. Could Lu Jiyu, who was already so big, still be beaten with a stick by Grandma Lu? Lu Jiyu's face turned black. Grandma, you're still asking for a stick to beat me in front of Tang Tang. Do I not care about my face? Chapter 20, after tonight, I'm going to chase after you. You deserve to be laughed at. I don't want to deal with this rebellious grandson. Old Madame Lu took Li Tangtang aside to talk about something. Before long, old Madame Lu and Li Tangtang asked to go back. You're going back? Old Madame Lu, what else? Waiting for you? Xiao Jiang said that you need to be hospitalized, and it's so late now, of course we have to go back and rest. If you don't rest, Tang Tang also needs to rest. She's pregnant. How can this be? Lu Jiyu wanted to be hospitalized so that Li Tangtang could accompany him and they could get closer. If they could only see each other during the day, Lu Jiyu would rather not be hospitalized. Go get Jiang Zidu for me. Coming. Jiang Zidu arrived. As soon as he arrived, he heard Lu Jiyu say that he wanted to be discharged from the hospital and go home to rest. No. What the hell is this ancestor up to? Didn't he say he wanted to be hospitalized? Isn't it possible for me to recuperate at home? I have a doctor at home. Lu Jiyu had already said that, so Jiang Zidu had to agree. Fine, your family doctor at Zeton Manor is better than the rest anyway. Lu Jiyu, what are you doing? Why are you refusing hospitalization again? Madame Lu was furious. What is this stinking grandson up to? Grandma, I'll go home and rest. Without another word, Lu Jiyu got up. He came to Li Tongtong's side and said, a little weakly, Tang Tang, I'm a little dizzy. Can you help me up? Li Tangtang quickly took his arm and helped him up, asking softly, is this okay? Lu Jiyu gave a gentle smile and said, yes. Lu Jiyu, are you sure you don't want to stay in the hospital? You're sick, and you had stomach bleeding. You need to rest properly. Li Tangtang didn't know what to say, but she felt that if you're sick, you should stay in the hospital. So, Tangtang, do you want me to stay in the hospital? Li Tangtang looked up slightly, lost in Lu Jiyu's handsome face. After a moment, she came back to her senses and said, I think you should stay in the hospital. But if I'm hospitalized alone, no one to keep me company, I'll be very lonely. Li Tangtang was silent for a while. Then, I'll keep you company. Grandma had also said she would keep Lu Qiyu company. Lu Qiyu was very happy to hear the little girl say she would keep him company. But thinking that Li Tangtang was now pregnant, he couldn't let her get too tired. I'll go home to rest, and then Tangtang will keep me company, okay? Can Tangtang cook? Li Tangtang nodded, I can. She didn't have enough to eat or wear at the Lees, so whenever she had time, she worked part-time. During the summer and winter vacations, she rented a small apartment by herself and mostly cooked her own meals to save money. It might not be as delicious as it could be, though. Lu Qiyu, I want to eat Tongtong's kanji. Is that okay? Li Tangtang, sure. So they went back together. Back at home, Lu Qiyu was forced to rest. This time, he really had stomach bleeding. Later, he also felt a bit tired. Li Tangtang told him to rest well, but Lu Qiyu did not let her leave. Tangtang, will you sleep with me tonight? Li Tangtang was a little flustered. How could she sleep with Lu Qiyu? Although the two were married, they did not have feelings for each other after all. Tangtang, for the sake of one of my patients, can you keep me company? I am so weak, I won't do anything to you, and you are pregnant. For some reason, Lu Jiyu seemed really gentle with her. Su Su said he was decisive and cold-blooded. But he was clearly very gentle. Li Tangtang finally couldn't bear to refuse her. Okay, then. Lu Jiyu's lips curled up into a smile. Soon, Li Tangtang came over from the shower to keep Lu Jiyu company. She didn't dare get into bed. It felt strange. They are not in a relationship where they can sleep in the same bed yet. But they are married. Luckily, Lu Jiyu seemed to be asleep, and Li Tangtang hesitated for a long time before lying down next to him, but also at some distance. She had just covered the quilt when a warm chest suddenly attached itself behind her. Li Tangtang's body stiffened. Perceiving the girl's nervousness, Lu Jiyu said softly, Tangtang, don't be afraid. She wasn't afraid, just nervous. And wasn't he asleep? As if he could hear Li Tangtang's thoughts, Lu Jiyu said, I've been waiting for you to go to bed with me. Tangtang just hesitated by the bed for a long time. Were you scared? No. No. Then why? Li Tangtang's voice was a little soft. Lu Qiyu, I may not be used to this. Not used to what? Lu Qiyu leaned a little closer to Li Tangtang. Are you not used to being with me? Li Tangtang's nerves were a little tense. We have no feelings for each other. No feelings. So sleeping together is very strange. Who said there were no feelings? Li Tangtang paused. Lu Jiyu thought about asking Luo Shichu how to confess to a girl he liked in a few days, but now he couldn't hold back anymore. Tangtang, can't you tell that I like you? Li Tangtang's face turned red up to his neck. He likes me? Since when? Tangtang, why did you leave after that night? Lu Qiyu, I've been looking for you for a long time. You've been looking for me? Yes. Lu Qiyu, I've been looking for you. Why are you looking for me? Lu Qiyu answered Li Tangtang's questions seriously because he wanted to be with her. Tangtang, you may not believe it, but I fell in love with you at first sight that night. I wanted to be with you, but I couldn't find you. I never thought we would be so destined to meet. At that time, Lu Qiyu did not hesitate to marry Li Tangtang, also because his heart, which had never throbbed before, was moved fiercely by Li Tangtang. He had never been in love before and didn't know how to woo a girl. So he never had the chance to express himself. Tonight, he simply said it. Tangtang, you are very beautiful, I like you very much, I am very happy to know that you are pregnant with my child. I was thinking, finally there is a reason to keep you by my side, and then let you fall a little bit for me. But I can't talk, and these days, spending time with you, I don't know how to go about this. Li Tangtang listened to Lu Jiyu's words, and felt like it was all a fantasy. How come it's so unreal? especially when Ji Suer told her that Lu Jiyu was the richest man in the capital, and a man like him could have any woman he wanted. But Lu Jiyu said he had fallen in love with her at first sight. This made Li Tangtang find it hard to believe. I know you don't believe me now, but Tangtang, there is still a long time ahead, and you will believe me. Lu Jiyu hugged her tightly. You are my wife now, don't worry, I will be good to you, no matter what happens in the future, I will be good to you and be your support. He knew that the time was too short for Li Tangtang to believe in his sincerity. But there was still plenty of time. So Tangtang, after tonight, I will court you. Chapter 21. You can rely on me. You're courting me? Lu Jiyu's chin rested on the girl's shoulder, and he said, well, courting you. So Tangtang, don't reject me. Try getting along with me and see, okay? He was afraid that after saying those words tonight, the next day the little girl would be scared. Hide from him and not let him get close. Wouldn't that be more of a loss than a gain? Tangtang, please? Li Tangtang still didn't dare to let her guard down. Lu Jiyu, why are you after me? You're so good, and I'm. She's not good at anything. She doesn't come from a good family. She's not smart. And she's not pretty. Why would Lu Jiyu want her? Who says so? Tangtang is obviously very good. Hearing a man say she's good made Li Tangtang feel a little flattered, but you don't understand me. They didn't understand each other. She was just someone with nothing. No one cares about her, no one loves her. Wherever she appears, there is always ill will. They will scold her. Frame her. Even though she has done nothing, everyone misunderstands her and blames her. It seems that everyone is like this. Lu Jiyu doesn't understand anything, will he be like them in the future? So from now on, let's get to know each other properly, okay? Lu Jiyu did not intend to make Li Tangtang drop all her guard and open up to him at once. He just hoped to take things slowly. To let Li Tangtang accept his good qualities little by little. Tangtang, can I court you? The man's voice sounded again. In the dark night, Li Tangtang pursed her lips. She did not know how to answer. Is it okay? The man asked again. Her heart was beating in her chest. Li Tangtang wanted to refuse, but she could not. Her voice was very soft, yes. Lu Jiyu's lips curled up. He gently embraced Li Tangtang and said, good girl, go to sleep. It seemed that sleeping while holding a girl made the sleep better. Lu Jiyu quickly fell asleep. On the contrary, Li Tangtang couldn't sleep well. After all, what Lu Jiyu told her tonight made her a little dizzy. Who wouldn't be dizzy when the legendary big guy said he wanted to chase after her? But after a while, Li Tangtang couldn't hold back the sleepiness and fell asleep. The next day. When Li Tangtang woke up, she saw the man looking at her from the side. She was still dazed, and Lu Jiyu laughed lightly. Did Tangtang sleep well last night? Li Tangtang then remembered that she slept in the same bed with Lu Jiyu last night. It was quite comfortable. She answered in a low voice. Although I couldn't sleep at first. As long as I slept comfortably, I also slept very comfortably. Lu Jiyu smiles at her and says, to be honest, I slept very well with Tangtang. Li Tangtang. The two get up. Li Tangtang goes to wash up first. Lu Jiyu prepares her toiletries first. No one has ever done this for Li Tangtang before, and she is not used to it. I'll do it myself. Lu Jiyu, Tangtang, you are first my wife, and now also my girlfriend. It is only right that I treat you well. And, I will still be the father of your child in the future. You need to get used to me being nice to you. Lu Jiyu spoke sincerely, and Li Tangtang felt a little conflicted. Why? Why is Lu Jiyu being so nice to her? Oh, that's right. He said he likes himself. Li Tangtang didn't say anything else, and immediately brushed her teeth and washed her face. As soon as they left the house, they saw Madame Lu with her eyes wide open, watching them. Did you two sleep together last night? Li Tangtang blushed. Grandma, we. Lu Jiyu put his arm around Li Tangtang's shoulders. Grandma, what are you talking about? Tangtang and I are husband and wife. Is it strange that we sleep together? No, it's not strange. What's strange is that they're not close enough to sleep together. But Madame Lu was still very happy. If the two of them got to know each other better and developed feelings for each other, that would be even better. At the dining table, Lu Jiyu was eating tasteless congee. Li Tangtang looked at him and said, I'll go cook something for you. She had said she would take care of Lu Qiyu. No need. Although Lu Qiyu said he wanted Li Tangtang to take care of him, he actually didn't want his woman to cook. Not to mention the fact that she was now pregnant with his child. Old Madame Lu also said, yes, Tangtang, there is a cook in the family, so you don't need to do anything. Li Tangtang gave a soft nod. As she ate, she suddenly frowned. And hurriedly ran to the bathroom. The two were startled by Li Tangtang's actions, but fortunately, Madame Lu responded quickly. It was probably morning sickness. Morning sickness is very uncomfortable when you're pregnant. When I was pregnant with your father, I also threw up a lot. I don't want to think back to that feeling. It's really hard on Tangtang. Lu Jiyu frowned and got up to go to the bathroom. Li Tangtang vomited for a while before she felt less sick, but she was a little exhausted. She gasped slightly, and suddenly, a hand slowly stroked her back. A worried voice came, Are you feeling unwell? Li Tangtang turned her head. Because she had just vomited heavily, the tears in her eyes had stained her eyes, making her look pitiful and heartbreaking. She obediently said, It's okay. Lu Jiyu knew that he had asked a stupid question. How could the girl not feel unwell when she had vomited so heavily? He lowered his eyes and placed his large palm on Li Tangtang's abdomen. Li Tangtang didn't dare to move, not knowing what Lu Qiyu was going to do. Sorry, if I had taken precautions that night, I wouldn't have made you suffer from pregnancy. No, we were both drunk that night. Li Tangtang never blamed Lu Qiyu. She had come to him of her own accord. And she now knew that Lu Qiyu had also been drunk at the time, just like her, which was why he had been so fierce with her. Looking at the obedient girl in front of him, Lu Qiyu felt even more tempted. So obedient. Always so good-natured. Baby, be good, don't make your mommy work too hard, or when you get out, your daddy will help mommy beat you up. Probably not expecting to hear such childish things from Lu Jiyu's mouth, Li Tangtang couldn't help laughing out. He's still young, he won't understand what you're saying. I have to say it even if she doesn't understand. I want to start prenatal education early. Lu Jiyu said very seriously that I will be involved in the child's future and will not let you go it alone. He won't let her go it alone? Li Tangtang was a little moved. She always did everything on her own. Even now, she is pregnant and living in the Lu family, and everyone does everything for her. But Li Tangtang is not used to it. She doesn't feel secure. So no matter what she does, she only feels the most secure when she does it herself. And Li Tangtang is also very clear that she can marry Lu Jiyu and enjoy her current life because of this child. So she has always been obedient and protected this child well. She has never expected Lu Jiyu to take care of her. You don't need to, you're very busy, I'm very capable, I can handle everything on my own, don't worry. Although touched, she still doesn't like someone helping her. Tangtang, you don't have to be so strong, you can rely on me. Chapter 22, Marrying Tangtang is the blessing of my 8 past lives. Lu Jiyu discovered that Li Tangtang was very insecure. But she is very strong. It seems like she can do everything on her own. But it seems like she is very vulnerable. He feels distressed. But it is estimated that it will take some time for Li Tangtang to let down her guard towards him. Tangtang, you are always so polite to me. If this continues, how can we continue to develop our relationship? You can rely on me, trust me, and you don't need to be so cautious. Li Tangtang was stunned. Can she trust Lu Qiyu? But how can she trust Lu Qiyu? Looking at the young girl's troubled face, Lu Qiyu couldn't bear to say anything. Are you still uncomfortable? Li Tangtang shook her head, she wasn't uncomfortable anymore. Her morning sickness wasn't that bad yet, she just felt like throwing up occasionally when she smelled something. Back at the table, Lu Qiyu poured a glass of water for Li Tangtang. Grandma Lu observed the reactions of the two and was very satisfied. Tangtang, you have worked hard. Grandma Lu had also given birth before, so she naturally knew the hardships of pregnancy. In the future, if you feel uncomfortable, tell Lu Qiyu. He is the father of the child and should be involved and take care of you. Lu Qiyu glanced at Li Tangtang. Grandma was right, and Tangtang should remember her words. Li Tangtang bowed her head, okay. The three of them ate at the table. Although Lu Qiyu could only eat warm or cold liquid food, he never stopped using his chopsticks, always helping Li Tangtang to pick up food. The rice bowl was almost full, and Li Tangtang said, "That's enough." She's not a pig. You're too skinny, eat more. Li Tang Tang. Madame Lu kept smiling and took out her phone to take a picture of Lu Qiyu helping Li Tang Tang to pick up food. She opened her WeChat moments and edited the text. Lu, the grandson and granddaughter truly love each other, /with photo. Lu Xian, grandma, are you crazy? Grandma Jiang, what granddaughter? You mean sister. You must be crazy to want a great-grandchild, right? Grandma Hui, Bauer, isn't your Lu Jiyu impotent? Grandma Su, your Lu Jiyu has a wife, but my guy has a whole family. There were many comments. But Madame Lu didn't read them. After eating, Madame Lu went out for a walk to digest her food. Li Tangtang didn't know what to do either, but fortunately Madame Lu had prepared a drawing board for her, so she simply went back to her room to draw. Lu Qiyu was a patient, and Zhang Zidu told him to rest more, but he couldn't stay idle, and couldn't help but go deal with some company matters. After he finished dealing with things, he subconsciously wanted to go find Li Tangtang. He went to the room and saw the girl sitting on the balcony. At that moment, the sun began to set in the west, and the golden yellow light cast on her body, as if it had plated her in a golden light, making him unable to take his eyes off her. Perhaps it was because Lu Jiyu's gaze was too intense, Li Tangtang still noticed his presence. When he was discovered, Lu Jiyu was not embarrassed at all. He came to Li Tangtang's side and glanced at her work. He was amazed just by taking one look. The painting in front of him was a landscape painting. Lu Jiyu looked at it a few times and felt that it was full of vitality. It seemed as if everything in the painting was real. Tang Tang is great, you painted it very well. Tang Tang was very happy to be praised. She tilted her lips, is it really very good? Lu Jiyu rarely saw a girl so happy, so subconsciously he patted her head. Of course, Tang Tang is really great. Tang Tang was really happy. In the past, no one supported her when she learned to paint. The Li family even sneered at her. And studying art is supposed to cost a lot of money and time, but Li Tangtang didn't have either of those things. In order to continue studying painting, she really had to work hard. In order to buy paints, she had to spend a lot of time working part-time. But working part-time meant that she didn't have time to study in peace. She could stay up all night just painting and practicing. Thinking about this, Li Tangtang's eyes got a little wet. No one would have thought to encourage her. Thank you, Lu Jiyu. Lu Jiyu saw Li Tangtang's eyes red and her throat tighten. What are you crying for? You're great, and you don't have to suffer anymore if you're by my side. He gently wiped away the tears from the corners of Li Tangtang's eyes. Has Tang Tang thought about what she wants to do in the future? Li Tangtang thought about it seriously. In the future, she wants to be a young girl cartoonist and open an art studio to draw whatever she wants. The girl's eyes sparkled as she said these things. It seems like she really loves it. Don't worry, you will make it. Li Tangtang smiled, and she now began to believe that one day she would realize her dream. As the two chatted, they grew closer. Li Tangtang didn't seem to be as afraid of Lu Jiyu as before. She began to look him in the eye openly. Brother Lu, are you still feeling unwell? You should go rest. Brother Lu? The girl suddenly changed her address, which made Lu Jiyu feel a bit uncomfortable. Well, I feel a bit formal calling you Lu Jiyu, I'd better call you Brother Lu. Lu Jiyu sighed inwardly and said, Brother Lu it is. Who told him to be 10 years older than others? Okay, Tang Tang can call me whatever you like. After all, it can't change the fact that she is now his wife. Lu Jiyu also had some personal opinions on painting. Seeing that Li Tangtang no longer rejected him so much, he naturally wanted to seize this topic to get closer to her. Li Tangtang also had no idea that Lu Jiyu was so amazing, knowing all about color matching and some painting techniques. She was full of stars in her eyes, saying, Lu brother, you're amazing. These are her heartfelt words. Lu Jiyu really is amazing. He really is a member of a distinguished family, and he's great at everything. Tang Tang is also very good. Li Tangtang has begun to get used to Lu Jiyu's praise, and it is really a happy thing to be praised. In the next few days, Lu Jiyu will find opportunities to chat with Li Tangtang. The two of them chat about this and that, and Li Tangtang's guard against Lu Jiyu has dissipated a lot. This is the effect Lu Jiyu wants to achieve. Today the little girl is going to cook for herself, and Lu Jiyu is afraid that she will hurt herself, so he keeps watching her. Lu, you go sit down, I'll make some congee, it'll be ready soon. Lu Jiyu, it's fine, I'll just watch you cook. Li Tangtang couldn't get rid of Lu Qiyu, so she started to get her hands dirty. She was very skilled, and it was obvious that she had done this kind of thing before. Lu Qiyu was even more curious about her previous life. Although the information and other things showed that she had not had an easy life, only Li Tangtang knew the real story. Soon, the congee was ready. It had a very rich flavor. Li Tangtang wanted to serve the congee to Lu Qiyu, but Lu Qiyu did not let her do it. Instead, he told her to sit down. Tangtang has already made the congee for me, so I will do it next. Old Madame Lu went out to have dinner with her best friend, so the house was just the two of them. 2 bowls of congee were served, and Lu Qiyu couldn't wait to try it. He then praised Tangtang from the bottom of his heart, saying that Tangtang's cooking was really good. Marrying Tangtang was truly a blessing in my 8 past lives. Chapter 23, Tangtang, I've never been in love. Li Tangtang's face grew hot with each compliment from her boyfriend. Lu Qiyu must have been in love many times before. Otherwise, how could his mouth be so sweet? He was so good at coaxing little girls. This realization actually made Li Tangtang feel a little uncomfortable. She lowered her head. She scolded herself in private. Why was she uncomfortable? Lu Qiyu is powerful and wealthy, so it's not surprising that he has women around him. Does she really think of herself as his wife? What was Tangtang thinking? She was thinking that you must have been in love many times before. Li Tangtang was actually thinking about this, and when Lu Qiyu asked, she subconsciously blurted it out, and as soon as she finished speaking, Li Tangtang realized what she had done. She said apologetically, I'm sorry, I'm not. Oh my. Her mouth is so quick. She blurted out whatever was on her mind. Lu Qiyu didn't expect Li Tangtang to misunderstand him, but the man didn't get angry. He put down his chopsticks and fixed his gaze on Li Tangtang. Tangtang, look up and look at me. Li Tangtang really looked up at Lu Qiyu, and their gazes met. Li Tangtang subconsciously bowed her head again. Probably because she was used to being suppressed in the Li family, she always subconsciously bowed her head when she encountered things that made her feel insecure or when the other party looked her straight in the eye. Don't bow your head. Lu Jiyu's words made Li Tangtang look up again. The girl's gaze fell on her. Lu Jiyu, Tangtang, why do you think I've been in many relationships? Li Tangtang thought about it for a moment, and said, you're very gentle with girls, you know how to comfort people, and you have a sweet mouth. If you weren't battle-hardened, how could you be so experienced? For the first time in his life, Lu Jiyu didn't like it when someone said he was experienced. Especially when it was Li Tangtang who said it. He laughed lightly. Is Tangtang that impressive? Is it that easy to tell? Hearing Lu Qiyu admit it, Li Tangtang felt a little depressed. She muttered, I can guess. Lu Qiyu laughed again. Tangtang, I've never been in love. As soon as the man said that, Li Tangtang suddenly looked up. She saw Lu Qiyu looking at her with a smile in his eyes. Li Tangtang. Why did she react so strongly? Tangtang doesn't believe it? Li Tangtang is a little disbelieving. 30 years old. Rich, powerful, and good-looking. If she has never been in love, how dare Li Tangtang believe it? Unless he has a problem. But after thinking about it, that night Lu Jiyu was so vigorous, there was nothing wrong with him. Seeing what the young girl was thinking, Lu Jiyu was afraid that she would fill her own mind with things, so he said, Tangtang, before I met you, I had never been with any woman. Li Tangtang? Is Lu Qiyu explaining to her? This is your business, brother Lu, you don't need to explain to me. Even if Lu Qiyu has 100 women, Li Tangtang has no right to say anything. They got married because they had a child. Lu Qiyu came to Li Tangtang's side. If I don't explain, and you misunderstand me, then I won't succeed in courting Tangtang, so what should I do? Tangtang, you don't think I'm joking, do you? He, Lu Qiyu, always keeps his word. Lu Qiyu stared at Li Tangtang and said, word for word, I can assure you that I've never had a girlfriend before. If you don't believe me, you can ask Grandma, or you can ask my friends. That night was also the first time for me. These words shocked Li Tangtang. Was that Lu Qiyu's first time? It didn't feel like it. He really acted like he was very experienced. I have had sex education, and I have seen pigs running even though I have never eaten pork. Besides, Tangtang that night was really attractive, I couldn't help myself, it was instinct. Li Tangtang's face turned even redder. Did Tangtang believe me? Li Tangtang didn't dare say she didn't believe him, so she nodded. Lu Jiyu took her hand and said, "If you really believe it, I will only be gentle and sweet to you. You are the exception, not the others." She is an exception to Lu Jiyu? Her heart started pounding wildly again. She felt like she was about to fall. Li Tangtang was flustered. She didn't dare look directly into Lu Jiyu's eyes. "Tangtang, if you don't answer, I'll take that as a yes." Li Tangtang nodded. She believed it. Can't she just believe it? After they had eaten, Lu Qiyu asked Li Tangtang if she wanted to draw, and Li Tangtang nodded. Lu Qiyu did not disturb her. They returned to the room. Li Tongtong's whole heart was trembling. She messaged Ji Suer. "Susie, do you think Lu Qiyu is joking? He said he wants to woo me." Ji Suer replied in seconds, "Huh? Boss Lu wants to chase you? No, didn't you get married and get a certificate? Right, you don't have feelings for each other, so Boss Lu wants to start from scratch, chase you first, and then be together." Wow, so Boss Lu is so romantic. Li Tangtang looked at Ji Suer's excited comments and felt a little helpless. She felt that Ji Suer was very nosy and excited about her relationship with Lu Jiyu. "Susie, don't you think he's joking?" Li Tangtang had never been in love before, and she couldn't tell whether Lu Jiyu was sincere or not. Ji Suer said, "I don't think so. Last time I saw Big Brother Lu, he was very concerned about you and he looked at you with eyes that were not innocent at all. And Tangtang, people have already kissed you, what are you still thinking about? Big Brother Lu is so busy. If he just wanted to have fun, why would he go to such lengths to woo you? He could just snap his fingers and a whole bunch of women would come running to be with him. And the wealthier the family, the more they care about social status and the issue of having an heir. Look, Big Brother Lu doesn't care about your family or your background. As soon as you got pregnant, he immediately got married to you. If he didn't have feelings for you, who would do that?" Ji Suer's analysis made perfect sense. Li Tangtang looked a little dazed. Is that true? Thinking about it, it seems that Ji Suer is right. Ji Suer's message came again, "Tangtang, what about you? How do you feel about Boss Lu?" Li Tangtang froze when she saw this. How does she feel about Lu Jiyu? She couldn't say it herself. "I don't dislike him." Ji Suer, if you don't dislike him, does that mean you like him? Li Tangtang. Where did she say she liked Lu Jiyu? Li Tangtang didn't reply for a long time, and Ji Suer got so excited that she called. "Tangtang, what's wrong? What are you thinking?" Li Tangtang, "Nothing. Tangtang, if you ask me, since Big Boss Lu said that, I think you can give it a try with him. After all, he's incredibly powerful, handsome, and rich, and you won't suffer if you follow him. You're pregnant with his child now, and in the future, you'll be the child's mom and dad. It's good for a child to have loving parents. And besides, if you stay with Boss Lu, no one will dare bully you again. Li Tangtang, but I'm not sure if Lu Jiyu really wants to be with me." Ji Suer, what do you think of Boss Lu? He's quite nice, very gentle, and treats me well. Chapter 24, If you call without anything important, you're dead. Up until now, Lu Jiyu has always been gentle with Li Tangtang. He has never been cold. Ji Suer, isn't that great? He'll only treat you patiently if he's interested in you. Li Tangtang was stunned by Ji Suer's words. Ji Suer, oh, Tangtang, I know it's still early days, but if you don't believe me, just watch how Big Brother Lu behaves. You're in a weak position, and I'd advise you to charge ahead, but it's up to you. I see. Li Tangtang lay on the bed and thought about it. But she couldn't figure it out. At that moment, her phone vibrated. It was an unfamiliar number. Li Tangtang was worried that it was someone from the Li family, so she didn't answer it. Sure enough, it was. Li family. Li Bushing was sitting in front of a pot-bellied man. The man's face was impatient. What do you Li family mean? You said you would get married, but now you're nowhere to be seen. If she doesn't want to marry, let the other one marry me. The man's lecherous eyes rested on Li Yaya. Although she was not as pretty as the other girl, she was young and considered pure. Li Yaya was disgusted by the man's gaze. Her eyes were full of disgust. How dare such a man fancy her? He doesn't deserve her. He is reserved for that bitch Li Tangtang. Li Yaya leaned closer to Li Bushing and called out in distress, "Dad." Li Bushing sneered, "President Lu, don't worry, our Tangtang is just having a temper tantrum and is now going out for a walk to clear her mind." I will immediately tell her to come back and marry you. Lu Fu impatiently said, you guys have been saying that for more than a month. Where is she? My mother is seriously ill and is waiting for me to go back and bring her good luck. If you don't have anyone, just give me back my money. You promised to give me 5 million for a woman. Now I haven't seen the woman and I've lost the money. Naturally, Lu Fu was unwilling. As soon as she heard that she had to pay back the money, Zhang Ting immediately said, Mr. Lu, don't worry, just give us 2 days, and we'll give you the person after 2 days, okay? Lu Fu, 2 days is 2 days. If that girl doesn't want to marry me, then let her marry me. He was naturally referring to Li Yeye. After saying this, Lu Fu left. As soon as he left, Li Yeye's disdainful expression in her eyes revealed itself. Dad, Mom, that fat pig just said he wants to marry me. Goosebumps rose all over her body. She doesn't want to marry such a man. Her goal is for Li Tangtang to marry him, not her. Zhang Ting comforts her daughter, yeah, don't worry, we certainly won't let you marry over there. If anyone is going to marry, it'll be Li Tangtang. But Li Tangtang can't be found right now. That's really strange. You've hired so many private detectives, but you can't even find a trace of Li Tangtang. Dad, what should we do? Li Buishing's face is gloomy. I'll think of something about this matter. Li Yeye is silent. He keeps saying he'll think of something, but Li Tangtang still can't be found. Where on earth has she hidden herself? Li Buishing was thinking about this when a phone call came in. He went out to take it. After Li Buishing left, Li Yeye's impatience surfaced. Mom, where the hell has that bitch Li Tangtang gone? I can't find her no matter how hard I look for her. And this boss Lu still wants to marry me? He's not worthy. I'm wondering about that too. But yeah, don't worry. This matter is set in stone. Once Li Tangtang is found, she must marry Lu Fu. Li Yeye, as long as Li Tangtang marries Lu Fu, the marriage contract on her will be mine? Zhang Ting stroked her daughter's cheek and said, of course, in the future, you will be Gu Yun's fiancé. The reason Li Yeye and Zhang Ting planned to let Li Tangtang marry someone was so that Li Yeye could marry Gu Yun from the Gu family. Because Gu Yun and Li Tangtang had a marriage contract, they came up with this plan. Mom, Gu Yun's brother will be back in China in 2 months. Zhang Ting said with a smile, yes, he's coming back. Yeah, you have to seize this opportunity. The Gu family is one of the most powerful in the capital. If you marry into it, you'll be a powerful wife, and many people will envy you. Li Yeye naturally wanted to seize this opportunity. She had had a secret crush on Gu Yun since childhood, but Gu Yun was engaged to Li Tangtang. He was very gentle with Li Tangtang, but ignored her. She doesn't believe it. When Gu Yun returns and sees that Li Tangtang has married an old man, will he still be so special to her? Mom, I will. Yeah, you have to be ambitious and make sure you do better than that bitch Li Tangtang. It's all because of her that we, the mother and daughter, have to keep hiding out in the open. She gets to live it up, while we sleep in the basement. What right does she have? Li Yeye heard this and hatred burst from her eyes. Yes. She is Dad's illegitimate daughter, and she has lived a life that cannot be seen from childhood to adulthood. But Li Tangtang? Why is she living so well? But don't worry, Li Tangtang is not a big threat to you now. Li Yeye is still a little worried, but Mom, Li Tangtang is Dad's daughter after all. I'm afraid that when the time comes, Dad will feel pity for her, so what are we going to do? Zhang Ting sneered, don't worry, your father is the one who hates Li Tangtang the most. Otherwise, why do you think he hasn't reacted at all to the way we've treated Li Tangtang for so many years? Li Yeye didn't understand why. Zhang Ting stroked Li Yeye's head. You don't need to know why, Yeye. Don't worry, you're your father's daughter. Li Tangtang stayed at home for another 2 days. Every day, she would cook something for Lu Qiyu to eat. She also gradually became familiar with Lu Jiyu. Brother Lu, do you think this landscape drawing I've drawn is any good? Li Tangtang excitedly showed it to Lu Jiyu. Lu Jiyu had recovered after a few days of recuperation, his health had improved a lot, and his face was rosy. He naturally sat down next to Li Tangtang. It's great, it's amazing at first glance. Brother Lu, don't lie to me. The girl's voice was very sweet. Lu Qiyu's Adam's apple rolled. He looked at Li Tangtang and thought, I wouldn't lie to anyone but Tangtang. Li Tangtang felt embarrassed when she saw Lu Qiyu staring at her. Her heart was pounding. Suddenly, Lu Qiyu pinched her chin and made her look at him. Li Tangtang didn't understand why, but the atmosphere was really ambiguous, and she couldn't help but feel nervous. The girl's lips were very moist and red. She pursed her lips slightly, making them even more rosy. Lu Qiyu looked at her and said, "Tang Tang, do you know what I want to do?" Now. Li Tang Tang had a pretty good idea, but her body was stiff and she had no idea what to do. Just as the man's handsome face was getting closer, his phone rang. The ambiguous atmosphere was broken, and Lu Qiyu frowned in displeasure. Li Tang Tang hurriedly turned her head and pretended to be messing with her paints. Lu Qiyu glanced at the caller ID, got up and went out onto the balcony to answer the call. His voice was quite gritty. "Luo Shichu, if you're calling about nothing important, you're dead." Chapter 25, Brother Lu came with his little sweetheart. Luo Shichu felt that Lu Qiyu's tone was wrong, but he didn't think too deeply about it. "Brother Lu, Jiang Zidu told me that he met your wife. Brother Lu, is that the one you were talking about before?" Lu Qiyu's voice was cold. "Is that why you called?" Luoxicha said excitedly, "Of course, Lu Gu, Jiang Zidu has already met your wife. I want to meet her too. Why don't you bring your wife out to play?" Lu Qiyu's having a woman is no different from him seeing a ghost. Of course he wants to see her. What's more, this woman is the one who had a one-night stand with Lu Gu and ran away the next day, leaving Lu Gu depressed for many days. He definitely wants to see her. No. Luoxichu immediately said, "Why, is it because your wife doesn't want to come with you?" "Oh, Jiang Zita said that it seems like your wife and you had a shotgun marriage, and you two don't have much of a relationship." Luoxichu. Lu Qiyu's smile was insincere, and his voice was cold. "It seems that you really want to go to South Africa to dig for coal." Luoxichu. What? He doesn't have that kind of idea. "Oh, Lu, we're just concerned about your love life. Besides, it's fine to bring your little sister-in-law out to hang out with us. It'll be boring if you stay at home for too long." This comment made Lu Jiyu pause for a moment. It seemed that Li Tang Tang hadn't gone out since she arrived at the Zitong Manor. He was silent for a moment. "I'll ask." Lu Jiyu hung up the phone without hesitation. Li Tang Tang had been mixing her own paints, and Lu Qiyu sat down next to her and asked softly, "Tang Tang, do you want to go out and have some fun?" Li Tang Tang stopped what she was doing. Her big, clear eyes looked up at him. "Where would they go?" "With my friends. They want to meet you." "Meet me?" Lu Qiyu couldn't help but stroke her head as he looked at her cute appearance. I also want to introduce my beautiful wife to them." "Beautiful wife." Lu Jiyu called it smoothly. She asked softly, "Where are we going?" "A high-class club." Li Tang Tang hesitated a little. She had some bad memories of those places. After all, it was in one of those places that she was drugged that time. I'm not used to those places." Lu Jiyu could see Li Tongtong's hesitation. Was Tang Tang afraid? "Don't worry, they are all my friends, everyone is very nice, they won't do anything illegal or unruly, and they dare not do anything to you. Besides, I'm here. Tang Tang doesn't need to worry about anything." Although Lu Qiyu said this, seeing Li Tongtong's slightly frowning eyebrows and eyes, he still decided not to force the young girl. And there's no rush. As long as she's his wife. There will be plenty of opportunities to see each other in the future. "It's okay, if we don't want to go, we won't go." Li Tang Tang glanced at Lu Qiyu and said, "Big brother Lu, I'll go with you." "Tang Tang, don't force yourself." Li Tang Tang, "No, I'm not forcing myself. Brother Lu, I feel at ease when you're by my side." Lu Jiyu heard this and smiled. He loved hearing this. "Well, I'll always be here." Li Tang Tang put away her paint box. "So shall we go now?" Suddenly. The man suddenly took her wrist and stared at her with burning eyes, finishing what they had not finished before going. When they got into the car, Lu Qiyu helped Li Tang Tang get in. The little girl was blushing, but she didn't dare look at him. Lu Qiyu was in a good mood, especially when he saw the little girl's blushing lips from being chased by him, and his eyebrows and eyes were smiling. As soon as they got in the car, Lu Qiyu held Li Tang Tang in his lap. Li Tang Tang looked at him with watery eyes, shy and timid. She whispered, "Brother Lu, you're bullying me." He had just spent 20 whole minutes kissing her in his room. He had kissed her lips until they turned purple. And he said he wanted to woo her. She hadn't agreed yet. He dared to kiss her. But it didn't seem to help to talk about it. He had kissed her before. Really? It wasn't bullying. I only did it because I like Tang Tang very much. The old man is very sweet-talking, and Li Tang Tang is thin-skinned, so she believes whatever he says, and can't say a word. Tang Tang, do you hate being in contact with me? Lu Jiyu feels that he is taking the initiative, and if Li Tang Tang doesn't like it, then his actions are offensive. Therefore, he wants to ask clearly. If Tang Tang doesn't like it, I won't do it in the future. Li Tang Tang hurriedly replied, no. Lu Jiyu laughed. So, Tang Tang doesn't hate it, right? After a long while, the girl didn't answer. Lu Jiyu didn't rush her to answer either. As long as Tang Tang doesn't hate it, that's fine. Li Tang Tang felt her heart beating fast. But she really didn't hate Lu Jiyu's closeness. And she didn't hate him kissing her either. Why was that? Obviously, she used to hate it when those boys got close to her. At this moment, in the private room, Luoxichu was drinking, and the person next to him, He Yen, patted him on the shoulder and said, Brother Lu really brought his wife here? He messaged me that he was coming. Holy shit, Brother Lu's girlfriend is here. Wow, he really has a woman now? Luoxichu was proud of their ignorance, and said arrogantly, want to know firsthand? At this time, everyone looked at Luoxichu. His clenched fists made a clicking sound. Luoxichu, if you don't tell us, we're pretty tough. Luoxichu. You guys, so violent. Tell us. Several voices sounded at the same time. That's not a girlfriend, it's Lu Ji's wife. They got married in a flash and got a marriage certificate, they are a real couple. Shit. Married? Lu Gu moved too fast. I'd like to see which woman can enter Lu Ji's eyes. Luoxichu looked at the crowd speechlessly. Can you hold back a little? Don't wait until people come, you'll scare them. Everyone didn't think so. How could it be? That woman isn't even afraid of Lu Gu, so how could she be afraid of us? Exactly. Everyone was looking forward to it. The boy sitting next to Luoxichu came over and asked, Brother Luoxi, does Lu Gu really have a girlfriend? Correct, not a girlfriend, a wife. Sin Shu, don't get it wrong. Wait a minute, you have to call her sister-in-law, got it? Got it, Brother Shichu. The boy sat back down in his seat, his eyes heavy, wondering what he was thinking. In the car. Li Tang Tang was initially resistant to sitting in Lu Jiyu's lap, but Lu Jiyu insisted on holding her, so Li Tang Tang had no choice. As the car drove on, she grew drowsy. Lu Jiyu told her to take a nap. She fell asleep and woke up when the car pulled up in front of the club. We're here? The little girl was still sleepy and couldn't tell what was going on. Lu Jiyu lowered his gaze and looked at her tenderly. He hadn't forgotten that she was a little pregnant woman. Have you had morning sickness in the past few days? Li Tang Tang shook her head, and she was doing fine so far. Sometimes she even forgot that she was pregnant. Moreover, Li Tang Tang was relatively thin, and it was only a little over 2 months, so her stomach was not yet showing, so many people simply could not tell that she was pregnant. That's good. The two got off the car and headed for the clubhouse. Here they come, Brother Lu is here with his little sweetheart. Chapter 26, I lost, can I kiss you? As the words fell, the door to the private room opened. The first face to appear was Lu Jiyu. The man was casually dressed in casual clothes, his posture was lazy, and his temperament was outstanding. He turned his eyes, holding a small hand in his large palm. The next second, the girl's face appeared. She was very beautiful, with delicate features, and those eyes were pure and clear. Like a fawn. Cute, confused. Her appearance here was like a fawn entering a wolf's den. The people in the box all looked at Li Tang Tang, wanting to see what Lu Jiyu's woman looked like. Li Tang Tang felt a little nervous under the stares of the crowd, and her small body half hid behind Lu Jiyu. Lu Jiyu looked at Li Tang Tang and was shocked, giving her a warning look. Everyone withdrew their gaze. Luoxichu was the first to react. Brother Lu, you're here. He came up to the two of them and said to Li Tang Tang with a big smile, this must be my little sister-in-law. Hello, I'm Luoxichu, Brother Lu's younger brother and best friend. Li Tang Tang looked at Luoxichu timidly and said hello, I'm Li Tang Tang. Luoxichu couldn't help but take a second look at Li Tang Tang. So this is the type of woman Brother Lu likes. But, looking at her age, she is a bit young. How could someone so young have the guts to run away after a one-night stand with Brother Lu? What are you looking at? A warning sounded, and Luo Shichu quickly withdrew his gaze. He scratched his head foolishly, embarrassed. I'm sorry, sister-in-law, I just find Brother Lu's wife very strange. Li Tangtang smiled, and the dimples on either side of her lips, which were not very obvious, sank slightly. It's okay. What a sweet voice. And such a good person. And she's pretty. No wonder Brother Lu likes her. He likes her too. Of course he does. This is something Luo Shichu dares only to say in her heart. As Lu Jiyu and Li Tangtang sat down, everyone in the private room came over to introduce themselves one by one. Hello, sister-in-law, I'm He Yin. Hello, sister-in-law, I'm Sang Yuejing. Hello, sister-in-law, I'm Mu Feng. Hello, sister-in-law, I'm Xin Shu. Everyone came to introduce themselves. Li Tangtang was very embarrassed, but Lu Qiyu said, don't be afraid, they're all family. You'll see them a lot in the future. Everyone who can hang out with Lu Qiyu has no problem with their character or values. That's why Lu Qiyu brought Li Tangtang here. He wanted the girl to meet his friends. With Lu Jiyu by her side, Li Tangtang was a little nervous, but she had some backbone. She replied in a soft and gentle voice, hello, my name is Li Tangtang. Someone deliberately teased, sister-in-law, what's your relationship with Brother Lu? Luoxicha poked the person in the stomach and whispered, you've called her sister-in-law, and you're still asking her what her relationship with Brother Lu is. Are you sick? Luo Xiao, then you wouldn't understand. Li Tangtang looked at Lu Jiyu, who squeezed her hand. Tangtang is my wife, we're legally married. There was another round of murmurs in the box. Brother Lu, I never thought that one day you would be subdued by a woman. Lu Jiyu had never had a woman before. Everyone thought he would remain single forever. No one expected this. He suddenly got married. Faster than anyone else. Li Tangtang felt insecure, clinging to Lu Qiyu, and unable to settle her gaze anywhere. Xin Shu, who was standing nearby, glanced at her a few times. Luoxicha patted him on the shoulder and said, Xin Shu, what are you looking at? This is Brother Lu's woman. What's with that look? Son. Shu. Brother Luoxichu, I just want to take a look at sister-in-law, not that I have any interest in her. Luoxichu, that's right, your thoughts have always been on that woman. Upon hearing this, a sense of loss crossed Xin Shu's eyes. Sister-in-law, don't be nervous, we're all easygoing. In order to prevent Li Tangtang from being too nervous, everyone talked and laughed. Luo Shichu asked someone to call over a few girls from the club to keep Li Tangtang company. After all, she was the only girl in the private room and she felt awkward. Sister-in-law, do you know how to play cards? Do you want to play together? Li Tangtang didn't know how to play these games, so she shook her head and said apologetically, I don't know how to play. Luo Shichu, that's fine, then Brother Lu will play with us. Li Tangtang sat next to Lu Jiyu, and the girls chatted with her, knowing that she was someone brought by the big boss, and they spoke to her with great respect. At this time, someone smoked, and Lu Jiyu frowned, wondering who it was. Sang Yuejing weakly spoke up, Brother Lu, it's me. I'm sorry, I forgot that your wife is here. You're not allowed to smoke. Your wife is pregnant, and secondhand smoke is bad for her health. Luoxichu. Everyone. Your wife is pregnant? Everyone's eyes widened. Lu Qiyu, well, it's been 3 months. Holy cow, you're awesome, Lu Ge, you're on a rocket. Lu Qiyu glanced at Luo Shichu, who covered her mouth and said, I'm sorry. But it's just so shocking. Not only is Lu Qiyu married, but his young wife is pregnant. Oh my. This news really took their breath away. Congratulations, Lu Ge, you are now a winner in life. Lu Jiyu was in a good mood, thank you. Li Tangtang was a little embarrassed by what everyone was saying. Was everyone shocked that she was pregnant? She didn't dare say anything, and next to Lu Jiyu, she answered the girls' questions in a non-committal way. Lu Jiyu was probably afraid that she didn't feel secure, and he kept holding her hand, which made Li Tangtang feel much more at ease. Let's play a game next. The loser has to find someone to kiss, and that person cannot refuse. Do you want to play? Piece of cake, let's play. The man asked Lu Jiyu, Brother Lu, do you want to play? Sure. The game they played was the most common one. Shaking the dice. After a few rounds, someone started to lose. Luoxicha laughed out loud, Sang Yuejing, come on, you choose someone to kiss. Sang Yuejing glanced at the people in the scene. He could not possibly kiss the girls who had been called over. He was not that casual. He looked at Luo Shichu, who was gloating, and walked over. Hey, Sang Yuejing, what are you doing? Sang Yuejing gave a sly smile and said, what do you think? Luo Shichu, no, if you kiss me, you're dead. Sang Yuejing, you set the rules, you can't go back on them. Then, a mournful voice came from the box, Sang Yuejing, I'm going to kill you. Luoxichu wiped his mouth hard. The crowd laughed loudly, and someone said, if I lose, I'll kiss Luo Xiao too. Luoxichu gritted his teeth, why don't you kiss Lu Gu? The crowd. Is this a bad joke? Would they dare kiss Lu Jiyu? No. The game continued. Everyone lost one after another, and only Lu Qiyu remained standing. Brother Lu is truly a god, and he never loses when playing games. It's a pity that he can't kiss his sister-in-law, ha ha ha. Lu Qiyu raised an eyebrow, and the next second, he lost. Everyone. He turned his gaze to Li Tangtang, his eyes gentle and indulgent, and asked in a tone of inquiry, Tangtang, I lost, can I kiss you? Chapter 27, Is Tangtang going to date me? Almost as soon as Lu Qiyu had finished speaking, the crowd looked at each other in disbelief. What a dog! What a dog! Luoxichu really felt remorse. He shouldn't have said that. But Lu is really a dog. He just lost. Just to kiss Li Tangtang. Speechless. Very speechless. He wasn't like this before. Li Tangtang froze in place, not knowing how to respond for a moment. At this time, someone started a commotion, and one person after another started kissing her, saying, little sister-in-law, you and brother Lu are married, so it's normal to kiss, isn't it? Yes, kiss her. Sister-in-law, don't be shy, we won't look. Li Tangtang. Could she believe that? Next, the crowd started a commotion. The atmosphere felt like they had to kiss. Lu Jiyu leaned closer to Li Tangtang, and in a whisper with a seductive tone, he asked, is it okay? Li Tangtang didn't want to let Lu Jiyu lose face in front of everyone, so she nodded with a blush. Almost as soon as she nodded, the man grabbed the girl's nape of the neck and they engaged in a long, deep kiss that lasted a minute, which excited everyone. Oh my! They never thought they would live to see Lu Jiyu in such a sexy scene. Brother Lu, that's enough, you're about to swallow your sister-in-law. Lu Qiyu let go of Li Tangtang, and the man stared at her contentedly. Li Tangtang, who was staying at the place, almost buried her head under the table. Oh my god, how dare she kiss Lu Qiyu in front of so many people? She had changed. Her heart was beating fast. Lu Qiyu shook Li Tangtang's hand. The group played games again. But this time, Lu Jiyu didn't lose on purpose. He made the girl so shy just once. He couldn't bully her anymore. The party didn't last long. After all, Li Tangtang was pregnant and couldn't stay up late or work hard. At a little after 9, Lu Jiyu took Li Tangtang back. Luoxichu smiled and said, sister-in-law, come back and visit again next time. Li Tangtang nodded shyly. She felt that Lu Jiyu's friends were all very nice. They respect themselves. The little girl was held by Lu Jiyu and obediently followed him. Luoxichu watched the two of them from behind and let out a sound. He said to Xinshu next to him, Xinshu, don't you think that brother Lu and Li Tangtang really match quite well? Look at the difference in body types, it's a bit like the big bad wolf and the little white rabbit. Xinshu did not reply, but Sang Yuejing said, little sister-in-law looks like the obedient and soft type. If brother Lu bullies her, she will probably just cry. I really didn't expect that brother Lu would like the type of little white rabbit. With that, Luo Shichu and Sang Yuejing returned to the private room. Xinshu stood in the same place. His gaze fell on the backs of Lu Qiyu and Li Tangtang. His eyes drooped slightly, and he took out his phone, tapping on the familiar WeChat profile picture. He went to the balcony. In the end, he didn't choose to send a message. Instead, he made a phone call. The call connected after a short while. Xinshu paused for a moment, his voice gentle, Sister Anning, are you busy? The other party didn't expect Xinshu to call, and her voice was warm. Xinshu, I'm not busy, what's the matter? Xinshu paused for a moment, Sister Anning, brother Lu, I don't know what came to mind, Xinshu paused. But the woman on the other end seemed to care a lot when she heard the name Lu Jiyu. She asked, Xinshu, what happened to Jiyu? Sister Anning, brother Lu got married. Bang! The sound of something breaking came from the woman's end. Her voice was holding back her emotions. Sin Shu, what happened? How could this be so sudden? How could Jiyu get married? I told you to keep an eye on his movements for me, why didn't you tell me about this big event of his getting married? The woman was clearly very agitated. Sin Shushin's heart throbbed. Bitterness spread through her heart. Sister Anning, Brother Lu's marriage was a shotgun marriage. I only found out about it today. A shotgun marriage. Sin Shushin, the girl, is pregnant. It was like the last bombshell. The people there calmed down instead. Sin Shushin, I'm going back to China. There was a moment of silence. Sin Shushin, okay. Li Tangtang and Lu Jiyu got back in the car. Li Tangtang didn't dare to look at Lu Jiyu and kept avoiding his gaze. Lu Jiyu of course knew that Li Tangtang was shy. But he didn't want Li Tangtang to keep avoiding his gaze. Tangtang, look at me. Li Tangtang was looked at by Lu Jiyu, who squeezed her chin. The girl's eyes blinked. Lu Jiyu let go of her chin. Tangtang, why are you afraid to look at me? Li Tangtang stammered, no. It's just that you were embarrassed when I kissed you in front of everyone, right? Li Tangtang, why did he say it so bluntly? No. What is it? Li Tangtang couldn't say it. Tangtang, don't be shy, we have a normal husband and wife relationship, just a kiss, it's normal. She knew. She just wasn't used to it. Tangtang, when can I officially start dating you? Huh? At this moment, Li Tangtang didn't understand. Last time I said I wanted to woo Tangtang, as long as you agree, I can start dating Tangtang. After dating, he can be even more unrestrained. Anyway, he is the official boyfriend and husband. I don't know. The little girl blushed and tilted her head. Tangtang, I know it's been too short a time, and you don't know me well enough, but you can trust me, I will be good to you. So, I want to know, how do you feel about me? Li Tangtang felt that Lu Jiyu was getting too close, and the breaths of the two were about to become intertwined, which was quite nice. Perhaps this answer was not satisfactory enough for the man. He continued to ask, so, are you a little bit attracted to me? He asked if she was attracted. Li Tangtang looked at him, and in fact, she was already attracted. But how could she say it? She tilted her head. But Lu Jiyu would not let her off the hook. Tangtang, answer me. Lu Jiyu seemed to be looking forward to Li Tangtang's answer. He said, I kissed you, and you said you didn't hate it. You never resisted, even after so many times. Tangtang, can I assume that you not only don't hate it, but also feel a little bit of excitement? The man asked very straightforwardly. He had never been in love before. He didn't know how to make Li Tangtang fall in love with him quickly. Lu Jiyu also wanted to prolong the battle, but whenever he touched a girl, he couldn't help wanting more and more. But he didn't dare. He was afraid that taking one step further would turn Li Tangtang off. So he had to make sure that Li Tangtang was attracted to him. Although, time was running out. I don't know. Li Tangtang's mind was in a mess, and she really didn't know how to answer. It's okay, Tangtang, just answer my question. Tangtang doesn't dislike me, right? Li Tangtang, Then when I kiss you, how do you feel? Do you feel your heart flutter? Li Tangtang's breathing became a little erratic, and it took her a long time to reply, yes. Lu Jiyu's face was full of a smile. Does that mean Tangtang wants to go out with me? Chapter 28, You're the Exception. Tangtang doesn't dislike me, and she felt her heart flutter when she kissed me. Does that mean Tangtang also likes me a little? I know that time is short and I haven't given you time to prepare. Tangtang, would you like to go out with me? I'm sure I can make you fall in love with me. Lu Jiyu is not at all subtle, and goes straight for the chase. Lu Jiyu, but I've never been in love before. After a long pause, Li Tangtang says this. Lu Jiyu thinks, what's wrong with that? He laughs lightly. I've never been in love either. If I can go out with Tangtang, I'll definitely learn from it. But if we get married, isn't it a bit strange to talk about falling in love? Lu Jiyu denied, getting married is just an outcome. We haven't experienced the process yet. I hope we can make up for it, so that Tangtang won't have any regrets, okay? The man was being persuasive. Li Tangtang was silent. Then, okay. Having gotten the answer he wanted, Lu Jiyu smiled. He felt happier than if he had negotiated a multi-billion-dollar deal. Okay, I will definitely be good to Tang Tang. Lu Jiyu made a promise. Li Tang Tang, on the other hand, felt like she had made an important decision. But judging from Lu Jiyu's expression, she couldn't take it back. Back at the Zitong Manor, Lu Jiyu was very happy. He had been observing Li Tongtong's expression the whole time. The girl still looked the same. Lu Jiyu said to her, Tang Tang, from now on I will be your safe haven. You don't need to be afraid of anyone, just be a little more confident. Lu Jiyu felt that Li Tang Tang was not confident enough, probably because she had not been doing well. But it didn't matter. He would take good care of his girl. Li Tang Tang hesitated for a moment and said, Lu, do you really like me? Yes, very much. If Tang Tang is not sure, you can ask me this every day, and I will always give the same answer. Okay. Li Tang Tang was very happy. Then I'll go to my room and take a shower first. Lu Jiyu saw the young girl's shyness and let her go first, but still reminded her that the bathroom floor was slippery and to be careful. Also, in the future, we'll sleep together. Sleeping with Tang Tang, I sleep very well. Li Tang Tang was stunned. Lu Jiyu's eyes were filled with a smile. We are now in a relationship, our hearts are connected, and we are husband and wife, so it's not strange to sleep together. Okay then. The young girl fled in a panic. Old Madame Lu happened to walk in and saw this scene. She thought that Lu Jiyu was bullying Li Tang Tang, so she said, What did you say to Tang Tang that made her rush upstairs like that? Lu Jiyu, you're not bullying the young girl, are you? Grandma, what are you talking about? I like Tang Tang. I can't get enough of her. These words took old Madame Lu by surprise. It was rare for her grandson to take the initiative to say the word like. You really like Tang Tang? Lu Jiyu raised an eyebrow. Do I look like I'm joking? If you like Tang Tang, then treat her well. She's a young girl with a thin skin, easily shy, and kind at heart. You can't toy with her feelings. Lu Jiyu's face turned dark. Grandma, is your grandson that kind of person? Who knows if you are or not? Anyway, I really like Tang Tang. It would be best if you could have feelings for her. I will be good to her. Lu Jiyu could not guarantee anything else, but being good to Li Tang Tang was something he wanted to do and would always do. Li Tang Tang blushed and returned to her room with a pounding heart. She spun around excitedly. She wanted to jump onto the bed and lie down. But she quickly stopped thinking about it, remembering that she still had a baby inside her. She sent a message to Jisuer, Susie, Lu Jiyu said he wants to fall in love with me, and I agreed. Jisuer always replies quickly, What? You guys are moving so fast? A few days ago you told me that Boss Lu was courting you, and you didn't know what to do, and today you've already said yes to him? Tang Tang, have you been attracted to him for a long time? Li Tang Tang covers her heart, not sure. But she knows for sure that from the beginning, she has never disliked Lu Jiyu. At most, she was just afraid of him. But now, it seems like she's not afraid anymore. Li Tang Tang, I guess so. Jisuer, oh no, you're falling in love. Li Tang Tang, I don't think so. But now she seemed to have changed a little. No matter what she did, the figure of Lu Jiyu always appeared in her mind. She shook her head and got up to take a shower. Li Tang Tang lay on the bed after taking a shower. She took out her tablet and drew comics. She had a lot of things she wanted to do. Open an art studio. Become a cartoonist. These things will have to be done slowly. She was so absorbed in drawing that Lu Jiyu lay down behind her and reached around to hug her before she realized he was there. Tang Tang was a little afraid to move because she was being held by a man. Tang Tang, relax a little. Lu Jiyu could feel Tong Tong's tension. After all this time, she was still not used to being close to him. Li Tang Tang put down the tablet and said softly, Lu brother, are you done? These days Li Tang Tang knows that Lu Jiyu usually works until late at night and goes to bed. It's only 10 o'clock, and he's already going to bed. With a beautiful woman in bed, how can I be in the mood for anything else? His heart and eyes are filled with the image of Li Tang Tang. Lu Jiyu couldn't settle down. He can only come early to hug Li Tang Tang to sleep. Lu brother, why do you like me? This is what Li Tang Tang does not understand. Lu Jiyu has everything he could want in a woman. And at the beginning, she always felt that Lu Jiyu married her for the sake of the child in her belly. Lu Qiyu heard this question and pondered for a moment. Tang Tang, if I say that I fell in love with you at first sight, would you find that hard to believe? Love at first sight? Li Tang Tang was a little taken aback. She really didn't quite believe it. She wasn't that great, so how could she have made Lu Jiyu fall in love with her at first sight? Tang Tang didn't believe it, did she? Li Tang Tang nodded, I'm not great at all. Tang Tang, you're great. You always say you're not, but what's not great about you? What's not great about her? Li Tang Tang didn't know. She just knew that when she was at the Lees, Xing Ting always scolded her, saying she couldn't do this or that well. Her father would also say why she wasn't as good as Li Yaya. They kept blaming themselves. So, Li Tang Tang felt that she was not good enough. I don't know what happened to you in the past, but Tang Tang, you were very good, don't always doubt yourself. Lu Qiyu said, why do you like me? I did fall in love with you at first sight, but I probably also thought that you were admirable for your courage. That night, you even barged in and hugged me, saying that you wanted me to help you. At that time, I was thinking, what kind of woman would be so bold as to hug me and say that she wanted me to help her? But then, I was seduced by you. Before that, I had never had any woman, and I didn't seem to be interested in women, but that night when I met you, I realized what an exception was. Lu Qiyu kissed her forehead. You see, this is fate. Before that, I never thought that one day I would hold you. I tell you personally that you are my exception. Chapter 29 Tang Tang, this is a bit intense. I don't know how to describe the feeling I have right now. I just feel so excited. It's so arousing. Li Tang Tang is about to fall for him. Why can Lu Qiyu say such things to her? It's really hard not to feel excited. Tang Tang, you are my only exception. We didn't know each other before, but now, in the future, you will always be my exception. Big brother Lu, you are so nice. Li Tang Tang was really touched. No one had ever said such things to her before. The young girl's eyes were red. Lu Qiyu laughed softly and said, you're my exception, so why are your eyes still red? I haven't bullied Tang Tang, have I? He gently wiped away her tears with his long fingers. Li Tang Tang pursed her lips. No, no one has ever said such things to me before. I'll say them to you a lot from now on. After a long pause, Li Tang Tang said, Brother Lu, I've never been in love before, and I don't know how to do it, but I want to try with you. You're so nice, Brother Lu, I'm sure I'll fall in love with you. Lu Qiyu was overjoyed. He hugged Li Tang Tang and whispered a soft yes. But Tang Tang must always remember to be confident and brave in the face of everything. I'm your rock, no matter what happens, I'm here, I can solve it. Lu Qiyu wants to make Li Tang Tang rely on him little by little. She needs him. Then, she can't live without him. Okay. That night, the two of them slept in each other's arms. Li Tang Tang slept exceptionally peacefully. She felt very safe next to Lu Qiyu. The next morning, Li Tang Tang was in a good mood. Lu Qiyu had already gone to work. Grandma Lu came over and asked Li Tang Tang, Tang Tang, how are you getting along with Xiaoyu? She knows that they are now sleeping together at night. Li Tang Tang's cheeks flushed slightly. Grandma, it's going well. That's good, Tang Tang, my eldest grandson is still doing well, isn't he? Li Tang Tang nodded, Brother Lu was really very good. Grandma Lu's eyes nearly disappeared from smiling. Very good, it's good that you are doing well, Grandma. Li Tang Tang rested at home for another 2 days. Today, Ji Suer called in a hurry. Tang Tang, when are you going back to school? Li Tang Tang said, my leave hasn't expired yet. She had taken a long leave this time. It hasn't expired yet, but it will in a couple of days. Tang Tang, I don't know what's going on, but rumors about you are flying all over the school. Rumors? Li Tang Tang frowned, what rumors? On the school forum, it says that you are being kept by someone outside of school, and that you are now taking leave to accompany your patron. Li Tang Tang was stunned. Ji Suer said angrily, I don't know who spread the rumor, Tang Tang, what should we do? Li Tang Tang is very beautiful. Although she didn't go to the school to be voted as the school beauty. She is one of the de facto school beauties. However, she is cold and shy by nature and ignores others. Over time, everyone says she's cold and pretentious. Some boys who confessed to her became angry because they didn't get a response, so they said bad things about her behind her back. Some girls were jealous of her too, and then, there were all sorts of rumors. Su Su, don't pay any attention to them. Li Tang Tang is used to this kind of thing. Other people's mouths are on their own bodies, so they can't control what they say. Besides, she's used to it. Tang Tang. Ji Suer felt a little uncomfortable. This incident has quite an impact. Tang Tang, are you really not going to do anything about it? What should I do? Li Tang Tang sighed. You know, people's words can be terrible, but you can't control what other people say. That's true. Ji Suer, okay, Tang Tang, let me know when you go back to school in a couple of days. Okay, thank you, Suer. Ji Suer always stays by her side whenever something happens. We're all friends, Tang Tang, you're always so polite. After a while of chatting and laughing, Li Tang Tang hung up the phone. She thought about what Ji Suer had just said. She really didn't have the ability to change anything. Forget it. Li Tang Tang went to paint as usual. As soon as she sat down, she received a message. It was a WeChat account with no profile picture. But Li Tang Tang was very familiar with it. The person sent a message. Tang Tang, I'll be back in a month or so. Li Tang Tang's heart ached slightly. She had no choice but to reply. Time passed quickly. 2 days later, Li Tang Tang had to go back to school. Old Madame Lu knew that Li Tang Tang was going back to school and also gave her a lot of advice. After all, she was pregnant now, and there were a lot of people at school, so she was afraid that she might bump into someone. Grandma, don't worry, I'll be careful. Li Tang Tang is now very comfortable with Madame Lu, who really treats her like her own granddaughter. Li Bushing, her father, has never been as good to her as she has been to him. So Li Tang Tang is really grateful. Okay, if there's anything, just tell your grandmother. Today, let you take you to school. Li Tang Tang glanced at Lu Qiyu. Brother Lu, you have things to do at work, you don't need to accompany me. Lu Qiyu came up and took Li Tang Tang's hand. You have more important things to do. Madame Lu couldn't stop smiling. Yes, your things are the most important. Xiaoyu, take Tang Tang to school safely. The two got into the car and went to school. Li Tang Tang had very good grades. She went to Jingbei University. When she first went to this school, neither Zhang Ting nor Li Bushing wanted her to go. It was because Li Yaya hadn't been accepted. But then for some reason, Li Yaya was also admitted to Jingbei University. However, she studied art. Li Yaya studied finance. Li Bushing told Zhang Ting that Li Yaya would take over the Li family company in the future. But Li Tang Tang never wanted to compete with Li Yaya for the company. They arrived at the gates of Jingbei University. Brother Lu, I'll go to school first. Lu Qiyu pulled her back, his dark eyes staring at her. Today, Li Tang Tang was wearing a schoolgirl skirt and carrying a school bag, looking like a bright and innocent young girl. Lu Qiyu's throat went dry. Tang Tang looked very pretty today. Li Tang Tang lowered her head shyly. Brother Lu, you're flirting with me again. No, you really are very pretty. Tang Tang. Lu Qiyu leaned closer to Li Tang Tang. Li Tang Tang's heart beat faster. She didn't dare look at Lu Qiyu in the eyes, and nervously pinched the hem of her skirt. Lu big brother, I'll go first. Her hand was held. The two leaned very close to each other, their breaths mingling. Lu big brother. Li Tang Tang was very nervous. Tang Tang, is it okay? Usually when Lu Qiyu asks this, it means the man wants to kiss her. I won't be able to see Tang Tang all day today, so give her a goodbye kiss, huh? Li Tang Tang shyly turned her head away, but in the end she nodded. After a long time, the car door opened and Li Tang Tang got off the bus. Her lips were very red and swollen. Her hand holding her school bag was clenched tightly. Ji Suer knew that Li Tang Tang had come to school and picked her up at the school gate. As soon as he saw her shy appearance, coupled with her red and swollen lips, and knowing that Lu Qiyu had sent her over, Ji Suer's face was full of ambiguity. Tang Tang, it's a bit intense. Chapter 30, Big Brother Lu hasn't been nibbling on you, has he? Li Tang Tang felt embarrassed when Ji Suer looked at her, Susie. Ji Suer still had an ambiguous expression on his face. It seems that you are getting along well with Big Brother Lu now, this little couple, like dry firewood, look at your swollen lips, Big Brother Lu hasn't been nibbling on you, has he? Susie, stop it. If there was a hole in the ground, Li Tang Tang would be too ashamed to go down it. Okay, I'm not teasing you. Ji Suer looked outside. Where's Big Brother Lou? Isn't he going to come in with you? Li Tangtang said, Big Brother Lou is very busy and doesn't have time to spend with me. It's not that he doesn't have time. If you really want Big Brother Lou to spend time with you, he will definitely do it. Ji Suer just felt that Lu Qiyu really liked Li Tangtang quite a bit. It's just that Li Tangtang didn't quite believe it. Li Tangtang took Ji Suer's arm. Okay, let's not talk about this now. Don't we still have a class to go to? The two of them went to class together. Li Tangtang had asked for 2 months' leave this time. Originally, she was not allowed to take such a long leave, but the counselor understood her situation and knew that she had good grades, so she approved it. Everyone looked over as soon as she and Ji Suer appeared in the classroom. Li Tangtang, I haven't seen her in a long time. Did she really take leave to go out and accompany her sugar daddy? Who knows, but you can see that her face is much prettier. She must have been nourished enough by someone outside, and the way she walks, she must not be a virgin anymore. Yes, she is obviously slutty at heart. What is she pretending to be innocent for? She has bewitched some boys who don't know the truth. As soon as they entered the classroom, they heard some unheard of words. Li Tangtang still seemed calm, but Ji Suer couldn't help it. Why do some people have such foul mouths? Did they eat shit this morning? The girls who were talking about Li Tangtang turned pale. Ji Suer snorted lightly and pulled Li Tangtang to sit down. Because it wasn't yet time for class and the teacher hadn't come yet, Li Tangtang and Ji Suer were chatting. At this time, a boy ran up to Li Tangtang and said, Tangtang, long time no see, where have you been all this time? The boy in front of him was Li Tangtang's suitor. He had started pursuing Li Tangtang a year ago, but Li Tangtang had never paid any attention to him. This time, knowing that Li Tangtang had returned, he immediately came over to pay his court. Zhang Yun, I have never seen a dog like you. You haven't seen that Li Tangtang doesn't care about you at all. And, have you ever heard of something about her? The goddess in your heart is just being supported by a wealthy man. Enough. Zhang Yun glared fiercely at the person talking, and he turned his head and smiled and said to Li Tangtang, Tangtang, don't be afraid, no matter what others say, I believe in you. Li Tangtang didn't like Zhang Yun, but she still said thank you. Zhang Yun heard his goddess talking about him and smiled happily. He sat down and from time to time glanced over. His eyes were full of passion for Li Tangtang. Ji Suer glanced at Zhang Yun and said to Li Tangtang, Tangtang, don't you think that Zhang Yun is a pervert? You have rejected him so many times, but he still keeps coming back for you. And, as soon as you returned to school, he came looking for you. Isn't he paying you a bit too much attention? Tangtang, do you think he's a pervert? Li Tangtang told Ji Suer not to think too much about it, and Suer, don't pay attention to other people, anyway, I don't care about him. That's what she said, but Tangtang, every time I see Zhang Yun looking at you, I feel a little scared. Li Tangtang heard this and glanced at Zhang Yun. Zhang Yun noticed that Li Tangtang was looking at him and grinned at her. But Li Tangtang felt dull, so she couldn't tell anything. Besides, she has helped Zhang Yun before, so Zhang Yun shouldn't do anything bad to her. Thinking about this, Li Tangtang told Ji Suer to relax. It'll be over soon. The teacher is coming. This class is not very important. After the morning class, Ji Suer and Li Tangtang went to the cafeteria to eat. Walking along the road, Li Tangtang suddenly frowned, and quickly ran to the trash can nearby to throw up. Tangtang, are you okay? Ji Suer quickly ran over to give Li Tangtang a tissue. What's wrong with you? Li Tangtang patted her chest, suffering from morning sickness. Ji Suer, I almost forgot you were pregnant. She looked at her. Li Tangtang really didn't look pregnant. She was still very pretty. In fact, her face had become rosy lately. She had also gained a little weight. She was even more beautiful than before. Didn't they say that you get ugly when you're pregnant? Tangtang Li has definitely become more beautiful. Tangtang, how many months are you? More than 2 months. You really don't look pregnant. Ji Suer said, Tangtang, but what's going to happen next? As the months go by, your belly will definitely start to show, and those who don't know the truth will definitely use that as an excuse to attack you again. I don't know why those people are so malicious towards Tangtang Li. Anytime there's a little bit of a commotion, it will be blown out of proportion. Unfortunately, Li Tangtang is not the type of person who likes to show off, but there are always people who are difficult to get along with. This matter is not urgent, and we will soon be going on an internship, and by then, no one will know about this matter. Okay, as long as you have thought about it. The two went to the cafeteria. On the other side, Zhao Manjin walked hand in hand with Li Yeye. Suddenly, she stopped and said, Yeye, isn't that Li Tangtang? She's back at school? When she saw Li Tangtang, Zhao Manjin thought of the time she was forced to kneel by her, and she felt humiliated. She was the one who posted the message on the school forum. But it seems like it didn't have any effect on Li Tangtang. Li Yeye also saw Li Tangtang. She actually just appeared. In the past, they couldn't find her no matter how hard they looked. She also didn't know which nouveau riche she had hooked up with, who had hidden her so well. Li Yeye walked over and said, Sister, I've finally found you. Li Tangtang was caught off guard by Li Yeye's sudden appearance. After that night, she didn't go back to the Li family. She even blocked everyone's contact information. But she forgot. She and Li Yeye went to the same school. They would inevitably meet. Li Tangtang didn't want to deal with Li Yeye, but Li Yeye wouldn't let Li Tangtang leave. She said with a grievance, Tangtang, where have you been for the past 2 months? My parents and I are worried about you. See? This is how good Li Yeye is at acting with her. Li Yeye, I'm not in the mood to act like sisters with you, just tell me what's wrong. Li Yeye was taken aback. When had Li Tangtang become so stubborn? In the past, no matter what she said, Li Tangtang would never say a word. Sister, what are you talking about? I just care about you. Li Tangtang, do I look like I need your care? Li Yeye's brows furrowed. Susie, let's go. Li Tangtang dragged Jisoo away, but who knew that Li Yeye shouted from behind them, Sister, your father has agreed to your marriage to President Liu, so don't make trouble with him. He agrees to your marriage to President Liu, even though he is a few decades older than you, but Dad said as long as you like it.